Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Godzilla the King of the Monsters Part 2. Before we start, please go support Angel Gonzalez 753 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. A hard fall. Everyone looked with total attention at the hologram of Dr. Murata, who had just revealed that the only one with the ability to maintain a balance in the world and who could be the salvation for both humans and cages was Issei, who could not believe what the hologram was saying. Recording. Maybe you think I'm lying, but no, Godzilla is the only one who can save us all since he was brought here. He always continued with that fighting spirit that helped him maintain his composure, he said, while showing images of other children who had aggressive behaviors, but Issei was different, he always remained calm. Angel? You were always different from the rest, he said calmly, while Issei looked at him confused. Recording. I know I'm a monster worse than them, I ruined their lives, but I tried to make up for my mistake, and please, if someone sees this, look for Issei and tell him that he is the hope of this world, said as the recording ended. Issei. I am the salvation of this world, he said nervously. Angel. It seems so, but don't worry, you're not alone, I'll help you, he said happily, placing his hand on his shoulder. Issei. Kong said gratefully. Angel. They might kill us because it's completely crazy, but I'm with you, he said with a smile. Isara. Nai-sama, I also support you, she said happily. Rias. Us too, she said determinedly while everyone agreed. Issei. Thank you all, he said with a big smile. Angel. Well, that's enough romance, let's keep looking for what we just found out is very little, we have to keep looking, so let's get to work, he said seriously. Oh yes. 4 hours later. We can see the boys quite exhausted after literally going around the entire laboratory, trying to find something to help find the cages, but without any success, and tiredness and desperation began to overcome them. Valerie. Curse, we've been in this place for more than 3 hours, and we haven't found anything, she said furiously. Issei. The destruction that madman caused must have wiped out all the information that was in this place, he said tiredly. Irina. I found something, she excitedly shouted. Zenobia. Irina, what did you find? She said seriously as everyone went to where she was. Irina. This, she said, showing a strange USB. Issei. Well done, Irina, he said calmly, blushing at the brunette. Sona. Let's see what it contains, she said while using a magic circle to make a laptop appear, turning it on and connecting it so that instantly some strange green letters began to appear. Rias. What is that? She said confused. Sona. It is an invasion program that prohibits the extraction of the information it contains, she said seriously as she began to press different keys. Issei. Do you think you can pass the program? He said seriously. Sona. Maybe, but I must admit that doctor knew very well what he was doing, she said seriously while pressing keys faster and faster. Rias. Come on Sona, you're very good too, she said supporting her friend. Sona. I did it, she said nervously as the screen returned to normal, opening a window with multiple folders. Issei. Well done, now let's see one of them, try the one that says geolocation, he said calmly. Sona. This is cool, what is this? She said confused. Rias. What's wrong? She said curiously. Sona. The bastard put a password on his folders, we need the password to open it, you don't know what it could be, she said looking at the two boys. Issei. I don't know, there could be many letters, he said nervously. Sona. There are 9, she said seriously. Rias. Perfect, you know how many words there are in the world with 9 letters, she said tiredly. Angel. Many words have 9 letters, but only one is your favorite, he said seriously. Issei. You know what it could be, he said confused. Angel. It could be that he was always traumatized with getting one thing and only one thing. Evolution, he said seriously. Sona. Evolution, let's see. Evolution between, she said, impressed. Angel. Oh, you got it right, he said calmly. Issei. How did you know? He said confused. Angel. Well, he was a madman who didn't know how to talk about anything else, and he always told us that we were the evolution of humanity, it wasn't that difficult to guess, he said calmly. Issei. Well, now we have access to the information, I think we should go home, he said calmly. Rias. If we go back. 6 days later. We can see the Gemori and Citri entourages along with the 2 cages talking and resting after their mission. There were still a couple of days left for the faction meeting, so they decided to enjoy their vacation. Issei. And how about life as a normal person and not like the crazy guy from the jungle, he said amused looking at Angel. Angel. I admit that it is much more comfortable to live like this than the other way around. I thank you, Miss Citri, for the place you gave me to stay, he said calmly, bowing slightly. Sona. It's nothing, she said calmly. Issei. By the way, where is the meeting going to take place? They only told me when it would take place and that the leaders of other factions would come, but they didn't tell me when it was going to take place, he said curiously. Rias. It will be done here at school so that no leader feels uncomfortable being in hostile territory, and there is nothing better than the human world. She couldn't continue because a magic circle appeared in her ear. Sirzich. Rias, you have a TV near you, and Issei is with you, he said nervously. Rias. Yes, he is here with me and the others and we are in the club, but what is happening, brother? Why are you so agitated? She said confused. Sirzich. There is no time. Turn on the television and tune it to a news channel. Altered scream scaring Rias. Sona. Rias, what's wrong? She said somewhat confused when she saw her friend's face as she approached the television and turned it on. Rias. Nai-sama says that she couldn't continue because she tuned into a news channel showing how New York City was being attacked by a kaiju. Issei. It's impossible, Jack, he shouted in disbelief, seeing a strange lizard, or so it seemed, on 4 legs with a back full of spikes. Rias. Jack said confused. Angel. His human name as a kaiju is Angerus, he said seriously. Issei. I have to go there before it continues destroying. He couldn't continue because the voice of a reporter interrupted him. Reporter. The moment of truth has come. The great efforts of all humanity are here. The Jager project is going into action, he said with great euphoria while the camera focused on striker Eureka. Angel. But what is that, he said confused. Issei. A weapon to confront us. As quickly as striker Eureka was released, he began to run against Angerus, who quickly understood that the robot was an enemy, using his great ability to jump and turn into a sphere with spikes, attacking the robot, who, using all his strength, managed to stop him, but did receive some damage. Angerus. Wow, this bastard is tough, he said seriously as he began to run against him. Arthur. Come on sister, let's show him the potential of humans, he said seriously while he grabbed him by the face and gave him a few punches, sending him far away. Lefei. With force, so that he doesn't recover, he said, starting to run in the direction of the kaiju. Before Angerus could get to his feet, Stryker grabbed him by the tail and began to spin him in the air, throwing him against a building on the coast, causing him to crash and being seriously injured. He tried to get up again, but the position he found was difficult for him. Arthur Lefei. Missiles out, they said in unison, making a movement with their arms while the robot opened its chest door, seeing a bunch of missile cannons that they did not hesitate to fire, hitting it squarely. Issei. Don't hurt him anymore, he's not bad, he didn't want to attack the city, please don't hurt him, Jack is not bad, and upset crying, worrying everyone. Arthur. Let's finish him off, he said as he pulled a pair of blades out of his hands. Issei. Quickly Rias, transport me to that city quickly, Rias react, he screamed in desperation, holding Rias by the arms, who was in shock and did not react. Angel. We can't do anything, he made his decision, he said while holding on tightly. Lefei. Let's finish him off, he said as they quickly split the kaiju in half. Issei. Stop, he screamed with all his strength while on the screen he saw one of his own being killed. Valerie. I killed him, he said swallowing saliva. Issei. Because he was one of my friends, Sinf, he just wanted to be free and see the blue sky again, Sniff, he said while crying bitterly. Angel. Issei alone attacked the city by his own decision, he caused his own death, he said sadly. Issei. No, they created a machine to kill us, they don't want to live with us, and now I don't either, he said while everyone saw the look of hatred that the brown-haired boy gave them before leaving the club. Isara Nai-sama, wait, she said worriedly, but was stopped by Angel. Angel. Don't worry, I'll talk to him. Questioning ideals. Issei was outside the occult club while hitting a tree repeatedly, while sadness was evident on his face. It was clear that what had just happened had affected him too much, but he was not the only one, since Angel looked at him sadly. Issei. What did we do to earn your contempt? He said with a cold tone of voice. Angel. Issei, you know very well the answer to that question, he said sadly. Issei. No, I don't know. I've always tried to protect them and help them, but none of that matters to them, he said angrily. Angel. Sometimes humans behave in very peculiar ways, you know why no matter how many good things happen, we will always give more importance to the bad things, he said calmly, while giving a slight sigh. Issei. But this time they crossed the line and killed my friend, he said angrily. Angel. You're not seeing the whole picture, you're just letting your hatred blind you, he said with disappointment. Issei. What do I have to do with them? Couldn't continue because Angel spoke. Angel. One of us does not attack cities, he did it by his own decision, he caused his own death, this was not the fault of humans or of us, it was his. Now don't come with the stupid idea that you are going to put aside the power to create a world in perfect harmony, simply because of an imbecile who only left us as the bad guys again, he said, while grabbing him by his shirt and slamming him against the tree. Issei. If you care so much about that silly dream, do it yourself. Humans don't deserve to be helped. He couldn't continue because Angel hit him. Angel? Look carefully at you piece of idiot. I didn't come here to see how from one moment to the next you behave like a little child. You are the key to lead this world to salvation. You know why? Because Murata believed in you, your sister and your friends believe in you, and so do I. That's why if you don't want to see one of us die for those things, you will get up as you always have, and you will show why you are the ultimate alpha, he said seriously, while Issei looked at him with shock. Issei. The definitive alpha, what do you mean? You put aside your title of alpha, he said incredulously. Angel. Just this once, so don't expect me to kneel before you. Unknown location. We can see the same dark place where the same boy who had sent Jack to attack New York was, but now he was very calm as he turned off a television while smiling arrogantly. One ha 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 ha, I didn't think this would turn out better than I expected, he said without removing his smile. Do. Now with this, everyone else who refused to be on our side will now do so, he said, his changing voice. Bree, but what are we going to do with that Jager? We are going to destroy him, said his third voice. Do. His name is Jager, and of course not, idiot, it's still too early to break the illusions of humans, he said annoyed. 1. Do you want to calm down a little? You know very well that those junks are nothing against us, and you also know that the Jagers are part of our plans. Now we must talk to that crazy Lucifer to continue the fun, he said seriously. 1, 2, 3 Soon the entire world will belong to us. 2 days later. The entire world was in retirement. The Pendragon brothers and the president of Japan were recognized as heroes after striker Eureka had finished off the kaiju, while on the other hand, the supernatural world was quite dismayed due to the incredible machine they had just created to fight the cages. But now what interested them was the meeting of factions where they would meet 2 cages, and one of them was Godzilla himself. Meeting room. Rias. Everything is ready, we just need the leaders to arrive, she said nervously. Bekeno. Calm down, everything will be fine, she said, trying to calm her king. Rias. I know, but this is very important and everything has to go perfectly. Where is Issei, she said, confused and increasing her nerves, seeing her entourage arrive, Sona, Valerie and Reiner and the envoys of the church. Asara. I don't know, he left before me, I thought he would already be here, she said confused. Viteria. Now that I see it clearly, the young angel is not here either, she said seriously. Angel. We are here, he said calmly. Rias. What happened to them? She said, looking at the 2 boys with their clothes a bit disheveled, while Angel had a cut on his cheek and Issei had a little blood in his mouth. Angel. Let's say that Issei got a little nervous about the meeting and tried to run away, so I had to do something, he said calmly while smiling. Sona. You 2 had a fight, she said incredulously. Angel. More or less, he nervously said. Issei. If he doesn't let me escape, he couldn't continue because several magic circles appeared revealing the leaders of the 3 biblical factions who came with Seraphol, but a few more people also appeared. Surzich. Nice to see you, leaders of the other factions. It's an honor to have your presence, he said respectfully. The pleasure is mutual, Lucifer, and tell me where the cages are, said a man with a green hair and a somewhat striking outfit, curiously looking out the window. Surzich. They are here present, Lord Zeus, it's them, he said, pointing at the brown-haired boy and the black-haired boy who had a serene look. Do, this must be a joke, we are not here for games, said a being that looked like a man with a dog's face. Michael. Mr. Anubis, I know it's hard to believe, but they are the cages, he nervously said. Issei. And you are the leaders of each faction, you don't surprise me that much, he said seriously. 3. Hey Brad, you should have a little respect for beings as strong as us, said a blue-skinned being. Angel. From your appearance you must be Shiva, the god of Hindu culture, isn't that true? He said seriously as he stared at the god, causing him to shiver slightly. For wow, I can't believe we're in front of beings as powerful as Godzilla, and I'm sorry, but I don't know your name, sir, said a blonde woman in a tribal costume. Angel. My name is Kong King Kong, beautiful lady, he said very politely. 5. I see you noticed it too, right, Quetzalcoatl, said an elderly man while rubbing his beard. Quetzalcoatl. Yes, old Odin, just by looking at them I can feel the immense presence that they generate, she said somewhat terrified, seeing how 2 images formed behind the boys. 6. So we can assume that they are 2 cages, said a blonde woman with fox ears and tails. Issei. If you've already stopped discussing our identities, it's time to talk about why you're here, he said seriously. Zeus. And that would be it, he said seriously. Issei. The World in Coexistence Initiative. Seriousness. The leaders of each faction looked quite confused at the boys after what they had just said, and how not to do so was complete madness, a world in coexistence between them, humans and cages, causing many questions to each leader except the 3 biblical ones. Zeus, and exactly how is this going to work? He said seriously. Issei. I know that this idea sounds totally crazy in advance, but if we manage to do it, this could be more beneficial for everyone, both for humans to be able to enter our world and for us to be able to stop hiding from them, but for this we must show ourselves to them as we are, he said seriously. Anubis. Showing ourselves to them is crazy, he said seriously. Angel. Tell me, Egyptian leader, what will happen when humans discover the supernatural? Better not tell me anything, I will tell you. They will panic in anguish knowing that all their lives they have been deceived by you, and they will begin to manufacture weapons to destroy you, and that is the problem of humanity. What they do not understand is that they seek to destroy you just as it happened with us. Do not come to me with the stupidity that you will not go through the same thing. You have not made any progress to stop us. On the other hand, the weakest race, the one that for you is nothing, you have already killed one of us, he said in a cold voice, leaving all the leaders silent. Aden, ha 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 ha, the boy is so right, he said while laughing and rubbing his beard. Ross. Aden-sama, please behave, said a sad Valkyrie. Aden. Yes, I know, but I understand everything the boy says. If we do not find a plan to reach our world with a peaceful end, when humans find out about our existence, it will lead them to take drastic measures that will lead to many losses on each side, he said seriously. Isaka. You're right, there's no doubt that that's a possibility, but I have a question about how you were born or how you became Cages, she said confused. Issei. During our childhood we were kidnapped by a crazy man who wanted to achieve human evolution, and through experimentation, and with the help of a strange liquid mixed with animal and plant DNA supplied repeatedly, we slowly adapted qualities of said DNA, and slowly became what you call Cages, large creatures with destructive capabilities. Some of us opted for a peaceful life, others went down the path of destruction, he said seriously. Quetzalcoatl. That must have been a suffering, she said surprised. Issei. It was hell, he said coldly. Shiva. And how many Cages are there approximately? He said nervously, trying to change the subject. Angel. There were 20 of us, but 3 have died, 2 Zilla and Cloverfield at the hands of Issei, and as everyone could see, Anguirus died at the hands of that robot, he said seriously. Aden. And we have some information on where to find them, he said curiously. Issei. More or less recently we returned to the laboratory where we were created and found a USB with some information, and where the location of the other Sona is possibly located, he said seriously, looking at the black-haired girl. Sona. Yes, of course, after seeing all the files on the USB, I was able to find a map where we can see the location of the Cages in real time, she said nervously while connecting the laptop to a strange device, showing a hologram of the entire planet with several red dots in different places around the world. Zeus. Incredible, but because there are only 16 signs there should be 17, he said curiously while everyone looked and counted the locations. Issei. It could be that he ripped out the chip, he said seriously. Azazel. Who is he? He said curiously. Angel Victor, the most unfortunate of all, he said seriously. Michael. Because maybe he is bad, he said curiously. Issei. Bad is an understatement, he was the one who killed the madman who made us like this, in addition to the fact that he developed multiple personalities. I don't know what happened to him for him to develop such personalities that eventually led him to madness, he said seriously. Anubis. If that's it, then the signs are correct, aren't they? He said seriously. Issei. Well, as you can see, there are 2 brands here in Japan, mine and An's couldn't continue because Angel spoke. Angel. That's not my brand, he said seriously. Issei. What are you talking about? He said seriously while everyone looked at him confused. Angel. I ripped out my chip a long time ago, he said while taking off his shirt and moving his neck a little, revealing a scar on his left side. Angel. I admit it was a bit difficult to find it and get it out, but it was worth it, he said seriously. Issei. Wait, if what you say is true, that means that, he said incredulously. Angel. There's a kaiju nearby. Bigger base. We see the president of Japan watching a hangar with 2 other robots apart from Striker Eureka with a wide smile, watching how people worked repairing said robot after the fierce battle against the kaiju, leaving his work like that of a hero. Scientist. Sir, do you think this won't look very suspicious? He said nervously looking at the man. Japan. Nonsense, you'll see, when people see the new Jagers will be acclaimed, he said calmly. Scientists. As you say, sir, the new pilot projects are already here, he said seriously. Japan. Excellent, start the tests. When you have the results, call me, he said calmly, walking to his office. The ICTOR1. I see you have your new toys, he said closing the door, scaring the man. Japan. Yes, Mr. Ghidorah, what do you bring here? He said nervously. The ICTOR2. What a stupid question that is, idiot. I came to see how the work is going to create the robots that will open the cracks, he said seriously. Japan. We have already managed to create 15 prototypes, and we continue working more and more, he said nervously. The ICTOR1. You better not fail me, my people are waiting to come and dominate this world, and you start creating more of those cans that will serve to increase the hope of humans, he said seriously. The Japan. Yes sir, I will not fail you sir, there are only 4 Jagers for humanity, the rest is for you to fulfill your mission, he said nervously while covering himself in a magic circle, changing his appearance into an albino man. The ICTOR1 I hope so Rizavum. Location San Francisco coast. We can see a gigantic being swimming through the ocean while looking slightly at the sky, seeing how in the distance a slightly smaller being could be seen flying through the air. I think it's time to have babies. Problems. Everyone suddenly tensed as Issei had just revealed that a kaiju was in the same country, and what's more, they saw how it began to move until it matched the brown-haired man's signal, becoming one, implying that it was close. Serafal. Do you think he's coming here? She said nervously. Issei. Most likely yes, but the real question is how he will come as a human or as a kaiju, he said seriously, while everyone was alert and Angel cracked his knuckles. I help, this crazy girl wants to eat me, a girl's scream was heard causing everyone to run to the sails, being perplexed to see a green-haired girl being chased by Zilla Jr., but the most surprising thing. Riaz. But who the hell is she? She said incredulously watching the girl running away in terror. Issei. It's her, he said tiredly. Surzich. Issei-kun, you know her, he said surprised. Shiva. Wait, if you know her, that means Ella, she is Ella, he said surprised. I see. To kaiju. After saying that, he and Angel began to walk out of the room, followed by everyone like busybodies until they reached the main courtyard, watching as the green-haired girl continued to run in circles, terrified, being chased by the little kaiju. Issei. Zilla, calm down, he said in a quick movement holding the little girl. Angel. You can calm down now, Sarah, said the boy calmly, capturing the girl's attention. Sarah. Angel, Issei, what a joy, said the girl running to hug them. Issei. Yes, it's nice to see you, he said while trying to breathe. Angel. Hey, I don't dislike displays of affection, but you could do it with less force, he said, hurt. Riaz. Issei, who is she, she said curious, but more than that jealous. Sarah. And these people don't tell me that they now like to live with humans, she said amused. Angel. Sarah, these people are not human, they are supernatural beings. It is a very long story that we will tell you later, but now keep quiet, he said seriously. Sarah. Okay, she said pouting. Issei. Well, as I said, she is a kaiju known as Biolante, she is the mixture of DNA from a plant with the strange substance of Dr. Murata, he said seriously, while everyone looked at the girl with shock. Zeus. It's very surprising to know that there is a third kaiju in front of us, but who brought her here, he said curiously. Issei. That's an excellent question, tell me Sarah, what brings you here, he said curiously. Sarah. Well, I was walking near this city when I could feel your presences, after all you are 2 alphas, and I decided to come see it, since I found it very curious that you 2 were in the same place, so I decided to come, but when I was about to arrive I ran into that thing, and it started chasing me. By the way, who is it, she said curious. Issei. She is Zilla's offspring, he is already dead, so I decided to raise the girl as my daughter, he said seriously. Angel. It's still curious to have you here. As far as I know you are a kaiju who can defend himself, but prefers to avoid fighting a kaiju, and that's why you decide to escape rather than fight, so coming to see us when most likely we would both be fighting doesn't sound very logical. What else are you up to, he said curiously. Sarah. They discovered me and I came so that one of the 2 could become my partner, she said excitedly, staring at the 2 of them. Riaz. Sorry, she said angrily, like most of the Gremory clan, the church envoys and a certain white dragon. Sarah. You are just a simple human who is butting in. This is a kaiju issue, she said, ignoring the retweet. Issei. Are you serious? He said incredulously. Sarah. Of course you are the only ones worthy of being my partner, you are alphas, you are cute and you are not crazy, not like that idiot Victor, he is very weird and you have completely lost his mind, so tell me who you want to be my partner, she said, sticking her body to both boys. Sarah. Come on, stupid, I don't care who you are, but I won't let you come and flirt with my brother like that, she said angrily, pushing Issei away from the girl. Sarah. Brother Issei, do you have a sister? Well, I don't care. And tell me, Angel, wouldn't you like to be my partner? She said flirtatiously, causing a little annoyance in certain Citri sisters and a brunette. Angel. Well, I'm too young to think about marriage, he said, looking away. Issei. Hey, don't you think you should think about this better? You should look for someone who loves you and not just go with the first man or kaiju you see, he said nervously. Sarah. But love can arise at any time, and even more so if both give their best effort, she said happily. Sona. Hey, you're crazy. You've already heard them both. They don't want anything with you, so you better do better. She couldn't continue because someone spoke. Angel? And if I accepted your proposal you would help us, he said curiously. Sona. Angel Sama, she said, surprised and angry. Sarah. What is it? She said curiously. Angel. Achieve a peaceful world between humans, cages and supernaturals, he said seriously. Sarah. Seriously, that's what you're looking for. It's okay, I'll help you, but you'll be my partner, she said very happily, causing pain in some people. Issei. Wait Angel, you don't have to do this, he said seriously. Angel. Issei, you know very well that we need as much help as possible, and you know very well that if you make this decision when she wakes up and comes looking for you, a real massacre will break out, he said seriously, while Issei tensed up knowing very well who he was referring to, but it intrigued everyone else, and even more so his certain redeed. Issei. Boo, but are you sure about this? He said with difficulty. Angel. A small price to pay for salvation, he said calmly while smiling. Issei. I'll say it again, you're crazy. He couldn't continue because a magic circle appeared in Michael's hatred. Michael? You're serious, he said incredulously. Anubis. Michael, what's going on, he said curiously. Michael. 2 cages are attacking the coast of San Francisco, he said seriously. Issei. That's impossible, there can't be 2 or yes, he said confused. Angel. Only if Ghidorah attacked with someone else, but it is impossible, no kaiju has moved, he said seriously, while Sona showed the map. Issei. Can someone show us a picture of what's going on in that place? He said seriously. Sirzich. Yes I can, he said, creating a magic circle that seemed to focus a television signal. Reporter. This is unheard of, 2 cages with similar characteristics have begun to destroy the city of San Francisco, creating great damage, she said, while the camera focused on 2 similar insect-like creatures. Sarah. That's not Muto Prime, but who is the other one? She said seriously. Issei. That's not Muto Prime, she's taller than the one we're looking at, she's my size, he said seriously. Reporter. Striker Eureka has just arrived in the area ready to finish off those bastards, she said seriously. Shiva. This is the weapon of humans, he said seriously. Angel. Issei, we must go help that robot, he said seriously while Issei got angry. Rias. Angel Sama, why do you say that, she said confused. Angel. If those things have the same capacity as Muto Prime and that robot works with electric energy, it is more than finished, he said seriously, leaving everyone in shock. Anubis. What are you talking about? He said confused. Issei, Mutos can generate an electromagnetic pulse that disables all electronics. San Francisco. The Fae. Ready brother, let's finish them off, she said seriously. The Thur. Yes, let's go, he said, starting to run against them. Muto F. Annoying humans, don't interrupt our mating, said the big one, hitting the ground with his paw. The Fae. What happened, he said while the robot remained still. Arthur. It seems that we have run out of central power, can you hear me? He said curiously. Reporter. We don't know what's happening, but the robot has stopped moving and several places near the battle have just turned off, she said nervously. Angel. Issei, we have to do something, he said seriously. Issei. Why should they kill my friend, he said seriously. Angel. Issei, this is the opportunity, we have to show them that we are not bad, please leave your pride aside and let's do good, he said seriously while everyone looked at Issei. Issei, oh okay leaders, please take us to San Francisco. A show of power. Everyone watched as Striker Eureka stood still without making any movement to fight the cages in front of him, greatly alarming the people and the pilots since they were totally exposed. Bigger base. The Japan. What happened, he said seriously. Scientist. I don't know sir, it seems that the larger kaiju generated an EMP disabling the Jagers functions, he said worriedly. The Japan. There is nothing we can do, he said seriously. Sir, there may be a solution, said an Asian-looking girl. The Japan. What do you have in mind, Pilot Shao? He said seriously. Lewin. It's not obvious, you should send me and Mako with Gispi to stop those things and help the Pendragon brothers, she said seriously. The Japan, nonsense, they are not ready and we cannot risk losing another Jaeger, he said seriously. Mako. With all due respect sir, but there is a possibility that Gispi is not affected, he is a nuclear analog, she said seriously. The Japan. Okay, get Gypsy ready, couldn't continue because the reporter recording the fight spoke. Reporter. We don't know what is happening, but on the coast a strange red circle is appearing in the sky, she said upset, seeing how a magic circle appeared in the sky and 2 things fell into the sea. The Japan Gremory. All the spectators remained confused, they did not know what that strange circle in the sky was and what those things that had fallen were, but more questions arose when they saw a blue flash and a red one, so that at that same moment, both cages stopped approaching the Jaeger and turned in the direction of the coast, where 2 new cages began to emerge from the ocean. Godzilla. Gruu, I roared with all his might. Kong. Gruu, I the great ape imitated him, putting the mutes on alert. Reporter. This is unheard of. Godzilla and a new unknown kaiju have just appeared, she said, stunned. Issei, good luck. As soon as the two touched Californian lands, both mutes went against them, but they were not even scared and instead began to move faster against the two, colliding in the center of the city. Godzilla. Where the hell did you come from? He said seriously as he collided with the female kaiju. Hyoudou F. That doesn't matter to you, she said seriously while trying to knock him down. Godzilla. If you do and T want to answer well, I'll finish you off anyway, he said seriously while using all his strength he crashed her into a large building. Hyoudou M. Damn you, leave my lady, he said seriously while praising the flight and was ready to attack the lizard, but before he could reach it, something fell on him causing him to crash into the ground. Kong. I'm sorry but I'm your rival, he said seriously while he picked him up, started spinning him and throwing him away. Godzilla. Find the nest and destroy it, he said seriously while he prevented the Hyoudou from standing up. Kong. Fine, leave it to me, he said seriously as he began to walk through the city. Your academy. We can see everyone present quite surprised to see the ability of both cages to keep the other two at bay, and they were thankful that they preferred to be peaceful with them, or else they would be regretting having those two as enemies. Isara. Come on Isama, that thing is no match for you, she said, encouraging her brother with everything. Zeus. Those guys are really impressive, he said seriously. Sarah. Puff, of course, if not for nothing they are the alphas, she said seriously. Azazel. Now that you mention it, it's the second time you've called them alphas because he said seriously. Sarah. It's not obvious, they are the strongest cages, true leaders who will always show why they are above the others, she said with a sigh. Riaz. That's why this Murata guy said that Issei was the salvation for this world, not only because he was the one who maintained a solid mental state, but also because of his title of Alpha. San Francisco. Arthur. Damn, we can't do anything, he said frustrated trying to move the Jaeger. The Fae. And what are we going to do, brother? We abandoned the Jaeger, she said nervously knowing that at any moment a kaiju could attack them. Arthur. No, we won't do that, he said seriously. The Fae. Why? She said confused. Arthur. Because we are the only thing standing between those things and 39 million people, so either we run away like cowards or we stay here knowing that this is very stupid, he said seriously. While this was happening with the Jaeger pilots, the battle continued with Godzilla subduing the female Hyoudou who could barely get up, but this began to get complicated when the male Hyoudou appeared attacking from behind. On the other hand, Kong had already arrived at the Hyoudo's nest, seeing that they had hundreds of eggs that were getting closer and closer to hatching. Honk. It's time to end this, he said seriously while crushing a couple of fuel pipes, spilling all the liquid into the nest. Godzilla. Hurry up, he said seriously as he grabbed the male Hyoudou and slammed him against the female. Kong. Burn in hell, he said while throwing a ray at the nest, and it burned greatly and then showed a huge explosion. Hyoudou F. My children, she screamed upset while pushing Godzilla hard, going all out against Kong, who couldn't stop the attack and was thrown several meters into the air against a large building. Godzilla. Kong worried cry. Hyoudou F. My children, not my cursed children, she screams full of pain when she sees all her children she charred. Kong. Hey, what was phase 2? He said seriously as he stood up. Hyoudou M. Damn, you'll regret it, he shouted furiously while holding him with his paws, dragging him all over the building where his partner had previously crashed him. Hyoudou F. We will kill them, she said seriously, but was very surprised when she saw how the tail and back of the lizard began to light up blue. Godzilla. Try it, he roared loudly firing his powerful atomic breath. Hyoudou F. Damn, that won't be enough to win. She couldn't continue because Godzilla grabbed her by the paw and threw her several meters. Kong. Godzilla. Long pass, he said seriously while throwing the male Hyoudou against the lizard. Godzilla. I got it, he said seriously while he gave him a tail whip as he fell, crashing him into a building, killing him instantly. Kong. One has already fallen, he said seriously. Hyoudou F. Of miserable people, first they take my children from me and now my partner, they are bastards. She couldn't continue because Godzilla grabbed her by the mouth, opening it wide while her back of her lit up. Godzilla. Well, go with them, he said seriously, launching his powerful atomic breath again, but this time inside the mouth of the kaiju, who by force ended up tearing off her head. All. They defeated them, they said everywhere. Godzilla. Something big is about to happen. The battle had concluded, both alphas had emerged victorious against both Hyoudous. Now Godzilla looked coldly at the Jaeger who remained motionless, although it was seen that he had already recovered energy, while the Pendragon brothers reactivated the systems. Arthur. Central copies me here, Striker, he said while waiting for a response, regaining his vision of him seeing what the battlefield was like between the Hyoudous and the alphas. The Japan here is central, how are you? He said seriously. Arthur? We're fine, but what happened to us and what happened to the other cages? He said confused. The Japan. You were victims of an M causing all your systems to collapse, and during that time Godzilla and his little friend appeared to finish off those cages, he said, seriously surprising both brothers. The Fae. You're serious, but why do the cages do nothing but destroy cities? She said confused. The Japan. I still don't understand this behavior, he said thoughtfully. Arthur? Waiting for orders, he said seriously while both brothers stood on guard looking at the alphas. Godzilla and Kong just watched as the robot went on guard while the large lizard remained alert ready to attack the robot, but before even taking a step his partner put his hand on his shoulder and then shook his head while Godzilla looked at him, so that seconds later they both turned around and began to walk towards the coast, slowly entering the ocean. Arthur? Your orders, sir, he said confused while not everyone watched as both cages retreated after saving the lives of both pilots and millions of people. The Fae. Brother, he said without understanding what had happened, losing sight of both cages who were lost in the ocean. Your academy. All the leaders looked on in amazement and admiration as both alphas had fought with honor until the end, leaving aside their problems with the humans, and now they watched as a noise was heard in the room next to where they were, and then the boys they were seen in their human forms, but they looked as if they had gone swimming. Issei, you were amazing, she said happily passing him a towel. Issei. Thanks, although I admit that those two were annoying, he said a little tired. Angel? Don't even mention it, next time you destroy the cages' nest, so you receive the wrath of the couples, he said angrily sitting on the ground. Shiva. I must admit that you two are amazing. I never thought I would be meeting beings like you. Those crazy jumps and acrobatics during combat combined with you and your powerful atomic breath and great power are incredible, said the fascinated Hindu. Issei Angel. Thank you, they said calmly. Sirzich. Well, after everything that happened we have forgotten the original point of this meeting, so I would like to get straight to the point. Will we make the alliance, yes or no, he said seriously. Auden. For my part, I'm in, he said calmly rubbing his beard. Quetzalcoatl. I will do it too. What I saw today, there is no way to describe it and I want to see more, he said happily. Isaka. For my part, I also accept the alliance, she said calmly. Zeus. The most sensitive thing is to have the cages as allies and not as enemies, so I'm in too, he said seriously. Anubis. If everyone is inside it would be crazy to say no, so I also accept, he said calmly. Sirzich. Well, if there are no objections, the alliance between all factions is established. 3 days later. Hu Park. We can see Issei walking calmly after school. Lately the days were quiet at school, although during this time a new controversy had just arisen not only at school, but also throughout the world, since what happened in San Francisco had made them change their minds about whether the cages were really bad or if they were something more. Angel. The big alpha walking around there having fun, he said calmly on the branch of a tree. Issei. Oh, great Tarzan, what are you doing at this hour walking through the park? He said curiously. Angel. Taking a light breath, you know you are not the only one with problems in your head, he said seriously. Issei. What's wrong? Is Sarah too obsessed with you? He said mockingly. Angel. Shut up, I'll be the one laughing when Mia comes to look for you, he said seriously while the brown-haired boy tenses up. Issei. I'll just tell him that I'm not interested in a relationship at the moment, he said looking away. Angel. Yes, of course, and she will be very calm while other girls flirt with you, he said amused. Issei. What the hell are you talking about, he said confused. Angel. Wow, you are really stupid, he said mockingly. Issei. Stop confusing me, explain yourself more, he said seriously. Angel. What am I talking about? Riaz, Akeno, Zenobia, Irina, Kaneko and Asia are crazy about you, he said seriously while Issei opened his eyes in surprise. Issei. That's it, that's a lie, he said confused. Angel. You are so blind. When Sarah declared her love for you, they immediately got angry, he said seriously. Issei. But not them, stop playing games, they would never notice someone like me, he said extremely confused. Angel. You know now that I see your reaction well, and not knowing how to speak makes me understand that you also feel something for them, maybe you deny it, but deep in your heart you feel something for them, even if it's just a little, he said seriously. Issei. Shut up, you're just bothering me, stop saying that nonsense, you're just confusing me, he said angry and nervous. Angel. Stop denying what you are in love. Yunnan, China. In the waterfall in a thick forest, a strange globe began to be seen inside it that slowly took the shape of something similar to a butterfly or a moth. Seconds after seeing those majestic wings, a much larger globe completely illuminated the waterfall, so that at the bottom of it, a naked girl emerged from the water while looking at the night sky, and a smile appeared on her face. We will meet again soon, my dear Issei. Unknown location. We can see Victor kneeling in front of a strange circle where some strange beings with strange shapes could be seen, but the most concise thing is that they were not human until one stood in front of everyone staring at the kaiju. The ICTOR1 everything is going according to plan, he said nervously. You're taking too long, we can't wait any longer for the colonization of the planet, he said in a strange language that was only understandable to the young blonde. The ICTOR1. I'm sorry for the delay, but the plan is almost complete, I just need a little more time, he said nervously. Well, we will give you more time, but we have already sent a warrior as a backup plan and don't worry, he is made with your blood, but he is much more powerful than you, he said seriously, cutting the transmission. Victor? Someone stronger than me. Nerves. We see a world news studio that was broadcasting an interview with one of the most recognized scientists worldwide, Dr. Ishiro Serizawa, famous for his discovery of the Hollow Earth. Interviewer. Good evening world, today on our program we have the presence of the famous Dr. Ishiro Serizawa. How are you, doctor? Said the man respectfully. Dr. Serizawa. Good evening, he said calmly. Interviewer. Well doctor, I'll get straight to the point. You're coming tonight to give us your point of view, which has caused a lot of doubt around the world due to the events that recently occurred in San Francisco. Is that correct? He said curiously. Dr. Serizawa. That's right, he said calmly. Interview. And what is that visiting point, he said curiously. Dr. Serizawa. Well, it's about the titans, they really are the monsters that we really think they are, he said seriously. Interviewer. So you think they can be good? He said curiously, raising an eyebrow. Dr. Serizawa. To some extent yes, what we have seen so far is that some cages that have come to different cities in the cool world in Japan, New York, San Francisco in the United States and other places have attacked those places, but what happens with Godzilla and now that gorilla-looking kaiju? They did cause damage, but this is because they were fighting those cages, and it is logical that in a battle with large beings, it is obvious that there will be collateral damage, but my point is that those two cages came and finished off their enemies and left without causing any more damage, he said seriously. Interviewer. So you're telling us that there may be good cages in the world, he said surprised, just like the people present. Dr. Serizawa. I'm just saying that we should give the cages a chance, he said seriously. Interviewer. An opportunity for what? He said curiously. Dr. Serizawa. To prove why they are in this world. 7 hours later. Your academy. We can see Issei leaning against a tree resting during the class break. After all, he had to continue fulfilling his student duties, but this day he could be completely concentrated since the words of his alpha partner still echoed in his head. Issei. What he told me must be true, he spoke thoughtfully while thinking about a certain group of girls while a blush appeared on his cheeks. Hadis. Issei-kun, are you okay, she said curiously looking at the brown-haired boy. Issei. Hey, nothing, I'm just thinking, what are you doing? He said calmly. Hadis. I see, well, I wanted nervous to ask you a question, she said. Issei. Yeah, sure, he said curiously. Hadis. Well then, would you like to have a date with me? She said blushing. Issei. Huh? He said extremely confused. Hadis. Issei, would you like to go out with me, she said super red. Issei. It's okay if I accept, he said happily. Hadis. Yes, you said yes, she said excitedly. Issei. Of course, how about today after finishing school, he said calmly. Hadis. Yes, of course, she said happily as she ran away. Asara. Oh my, Nai-sama, it seems you have a date, she said, appearing behind a tree. Issei. Kaya dai, I say, oh no, don't do that, he said, recovering from the scare. Angel. I'm telling you, who has feelings for you and decide to go out with another girl, he said, amused, appearing in the tree. Issei. And what the hell are you doing here, he said confused. Angel. Well, I came to talk to Sona, but I think I'll be a little late, so I decided to spend the time resting in the trees, he said calmly, while being watched by some students from the school, which was no wonder since they saw him get down from the tree. Issei. Yes, and from what I see, you caught a lot of attention, he said curiously, as he watched a group of girls who kept looking at the young black-haired boy. Angel. Don't change the subject, tell me why you accepted a date with that girl, he said in a mischievous way. Issei. That's none of your business, he said nervously, leaving while being seen by the two boys without realizing that someone was listening to them. Rias. Issei will have a date. 3 hours later. We can see Issei outside the school, who looked calm waiting for a certain girl, but what he had realized was that Rias and all the girls in her group, including her sister and those sent by the church, they were hiding and spying on him. Rias. I can't believe who is that girl who invited Issei on a date, she said jealously. Akeno. Rias, lower your voice, you know that Issei can have her senses developed and can hear us, she said seriously. Rias. I'm sorry but I can't stand it because you don't want to tell us the name of that chick Isara, she said angrily. Isara. I'm sorry but as my brother I must respect Issei's privacy, she said firmly. Kaneko. Then why are you here, she said curiously. Isara. Hey I couldn't continue because Zenobia spoke. Zenobia. What is Caddis? She said surprised while everyone watched as the aforementioned arrived with Issei. Issei. Ready for our date, he said happily. Caddis. Sure, let's go. Student council. We see the Citri clan talking to each other watching television while their president looked at the black-haired man who was very calm under the girl's serious gaze. Sona. Can you tell me what the hell you were doing up a tree and you came down like nothing happened in front of people like nothing happened, she said with a vein in her forehead. Angel. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to talk to Issei and I accidentally didn't notice and I just did it, he said nonchalantly. Sona puff. Okay, now I would like to ask you something relatively personal, she said somewhat embarrassed. Angel. Sure, but first could you tell me how long you liked me? He said, curious but amused when he saw the brunette turn as red as a tomato. Sona. What are you talking about? She said nervously. Angel. Don't act like you don't know, your sister and Kateria have feelings for me and they look ridiculous trying to hide it, he said happily, getting very close to the brunette. Tsuneo, that doesn't matter anymore, you have that kaiju, she said looking away, but it didn't last long as the black-haired man grabbed her face making her stare at him. Angel. And what does it matter? I'm an alpha, I can have more women, he said as he got closer and closer. Sona. But what will Sarah say? She said nervously. Angel. Leave that to me, he couldn't continue because everyone heard the television go static and suddenly show the image of a blonde boy that Angel recognized. The ICTOR1. Greetings to everyone, now I must be on every television and electronic device in the world. You must be wondering what is happening and who I am, he said seriously. Angel. Victor, he said very seriously. The ICTOR1, my name is Victor and I am a kaiju. The apparition of a queen. Everyone in different parts of the world watched the broadcast, looking in disbelief at Victor, who claimed that he was a kaiju. Some began to think that he was a madman who wanted to attract attention, but others looked at this with a strange feeling of concern. Issei. That bastard, he said nervously while he and Caddis watched a broadcast in an electronics store. Caddis. Issei, are you okay? She said confused when she saw the boy's nervous face, but before she could answer Victor she continued talking. The ICTOR1. Maybe you think this guy has gone crazy and what crazy thing he is talking about, but no, we just walk around the world before your eyes and you never notice our presence, we live among you, but hidden from plain sight and the best part is that you can't tell who is a kaiju and who is not, ha 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 ha, he said, dying of laughter. Issei. Shut up, damn it, don't say anything else, he almost said in a whisper. Victor. But now seeing what they have done by killing one of us, I tell you here, brothers and sisters, come to my call. Let us stop hiding and show the world who we are, and Issei, or should I say Godzilla, if you are listening to me, let's see if you can stop us, he said in a deranged manner, beginning to change his form in front of the camera that fell looking at the sky due to a tremor. The boy that could be seen changing into the form of a three-headed dragon, letting out a loud roar. Issei. Unhappy, he said clenching his fists in anger. Caddis. I see you are Godzilla, she said incredulously looking at the brown-haired boy who tensed up upon hearing the girl. Issei. No, Caddis, he couldn't continue because the girl hugged him. Caddis. I can't believe I had my hero so close, she said happily as she separated from the brown-haired boy. Issei. Caddis, there is a lot I have to explain, but please, he couldn't continue because a strange spider web hit Caddis, sticking her to the wall. Why did you do this to me, Issei, said a female voice sadly, while the boy paled as a name came to his head. Issei. Mathra. Student council. We can see the whole group in silence as they finished watching what happened on television, and the tension in the place was palpable after that, while the black-haired man clenched his fists in fury. Angel. That damn thing has ruined everything, he said furiously. Sona. Angel, he couldn't continue because the black-haired man spoke. Angel. Sona, show me all the locations of the cages now, he said seriously. Sona. Yes, right away, she said nervously taking out her computer, opening her eyes in shock. Angel. What's going on, he said seriously. Sona. All the cages have started to move but she said scared. Angel. But what sound does she speak, he said seriously. Sona. A third kaiju point is here, she said in shock. Angel. That no kaiju would move so fast, that kaiju was the one that is no longer in his. He could not continue because he saw the map and realized which one had moved. Sona. What's wrong, Angel, what's wrong, she said nervously. Angel. Kaori is now, tell her to find Issei quickly, he said while taking Sona by the arm and starting to run, followed by Chia's entourage. Sona. But what's happening? I don't understand. Do you know who that kaiju is? She said nervously while running. Angel? I can get an idea, and if Issei is with that girl Caddis she is in danger, he said seriously. Tsubaki. But why, she said, trying to keep up. Angel? Well, the kaiju is called Mathra or Mia. She was very close to Issei when we were in Murata's laboratory, and she was so fond of Issei that she always said that she would marry him, and to avoid seeing her sad, Issei told her that yes, they would get married, he said seriously. Sona. So you think she's here, she said surprised. Angel? It could be, but the problem is that she was very possessive. She even started a fight with Sarah because according to her, she was making advances on Issei, and in a way it was true, but she did do that with a little talk. I don't want to see if Caddis tries something more with Issei, he said seriously. Sona. Riaz doesn't answer me, she said nervously. Angel. Damn, I already sent a message to Sarah to look for Issei, he said seriously, putting his phone away from her. Sona. I just hope everything is okay. With Issei. Issei. Mia, what are you doing here, he said nervously, seeing an albino girl with a kimono. Mia. What am I doing here? Are you surprised by my appearance? Of course, how were you here with this hitch? She said angrily. Issei. Hey, you dare to insult Caddis, he couldn't continue because the girl moved at high speed and hit him hard in the stomach. Bremery's church envoys Caddis Iseei, they shouted worriedly. Asara. Damn you, you're going to pay for this, she said furiously as she summoned her armor and launched herself at her. Mia. And you, a dead fly, she said, dodging her attack by holding her by the head and kicking her, sending her against a wall. Riaz. Damn, if this battle extends we could reveal our existence, she said nervously, creating a barrier. Mia. How many more hitches did you cheat on me with? She said angrily and sadly as she took out some wings and rose into the air. Akeno. Damn, she can fly, she said nervously. Mia. First I will finish off the damn thing that was hugging my man, she said furiously as she stretched out her hand and began to fly against it as if a bee were going to sting its prey. Angel. I won't let you do it, he said seriously, tearing off the spiderweb or rather the moth web from the girl and jumping, dodging the attack. Mia Kong, she said seriously. Sona. Riaz, I see you're here already, she said tiredly while her entourage took a breath and Angel left Caddis with them, who had a shocked face. Angel. How are you, Mia? Long time no see, I see you've changed, no longer being the little lava girl you were before, he said amused as he remembered the girl's previous form of her. Mia. Silence, I see that you covered up Issei and all his infidelities, she said angrily. Angel. Infidelities, what infidelities? As far as I know, you and he are nothing, he said seriously. Mia. Damn you, don't say that again, Iseei and I were born for each other, she screamed furiously as she launched herself at full speed against the black-haired man who became alert. Sona. Angel, be careful, she said worriedly, but before anyone could do anything, some strange vines came out of the ground, holding the albino girl, preventing her from moving. Mia. Sarah furious cry. Sarah. Oh, what an aggressive friend, you should calm down a little, she said seriously, appearing next to Zilla Jr. Mia. Let me go, you wretch woman, you're doing this to stay with Iseei, but I'm not going to let you do it, she screamed, struggling. Issei. Enough, she shouted, leaving everyone silent. Riaz. Issei said worried. Issei. It's not time to fight, Mia, then we will solve this, now we must see what just happened with Victor, he said seriously. Angel. I see you saw it, he said seriously. Sona. But what are we going to do? She said nervously. Issei. We will look for allies. The human plan. Everyone was gathered in the occult club after the sudden appearance of Mia, better known as Mathra, but what mattered most now was what happened to Victor now that he had revealed the truth about the cages, and more so by revealing Issei's name of her in front of the camera. Riaz. It's completely crazy, she said nervously. Sona. I know, but what will happen now? People will start looking for everyone called Issei until they find the one who is Godzilla, she said seriously. Valerie. And what would be the problem? There must be quite a few Iseei around the world, right? She said seriously. Azazel. I don't think so, said the fallen one appearing in a magic circle. Issei. What are you talking about, he said seriously. Azazel. All the leaders have searched all the human records around the world and there are only 2 Issei in the world, he said seriously. Angel. You must be joking, there must be more than 2, he said incredulously. Azazel. I'm afraid there are not only 2 Issei Tagak and Issei Hyoudou, a boy who has been missing for years and who curiously is you, he said seriously. Issei. This is perfect, there are only 2 Issei in the whole world and curiously I am both, he said frustrated. Riaz. But Issei, what are you going to do now? She said distressed, causing discomfort to a certain albino. Issei. I don't know, he said tiredly. Angel. Let's leave aside the human issue, what will we do now that war has been declared by Victor, he said seriously. Sarah. Issei already said to look for allies, she said seriously. Rainer. But how many cages do you think are with you? She said nervously. Issei. It's hard to know, I don't know what thoughts he has regarding what happened with Angerus, he said thoughtfully. Angel. Currently we are 5 counting Zilla Jr., he said seriously. Issei. Of course not, she won't *T fight, she's a child, he said seriously, while the little girl began to shake her head. Ria Zilla, what's up little one, she curiously said. Zilla Jrn, no, I speak with difficulty. All. I'm talking, they said surprised. Issei. Calm down little one, you won't fight, you'll be safe, he said calmly. Zilla Jr. No, and I want to fight for dad, he said with difficulty, but with determination. Issei. Zilla, he said in disbelief. Angel. So there are 5 of us, he said, amused. Issei. For now. Bigger base. We can see quite a few media outlets gathered together while the nervousness was high. It is also worth noting that all the world leaders were on video call and were waiting for a response from Father Japan. D. Japan. Well, I know that with what has happened lately and that incredible discovery, it has surprised us all, he said seriously. Reporter. Do you have a plan to face this imminent danger, because it is possible that a massive attack of cages will come, she said seriously while everyone looked at the leader. D. Japan. That's right, based on many hours of work and effort we have managed to create 4 Jagers with different qualities, he said calmly, showing different robots with different aspects. All. Incredible, they said in disbelief. D. Japan. Well, I will introduce you to the first one, Cherno Alpha, piloted by the Russian twins Shion and Mio Sonozaki, he said, showing some green-haired girls, and they showed a Jager that looked heavy. D. Japan. The second one is known as Guardian Foxtrot, piloted by the Spanish twins Kagaya and Yuzuri Yagami, said, showing a blue Jager with missile launchers on the shoulders and 2 girls with orange hair. D. Japan. The third is something special, it is known as Crimson Typhoon, a Jagers piloted by 3 people, the twins Ram and Rem, and their best friend Amelia of German origin, he said seriously, showing a robot with what looked like 3 glasses and a pair of identical girls with pink and blue hair and a silver-haired girl. D. Japan. The last of them is our latest creation Gypsy Danger, piloted by the young Mako and by the important founder of Shao Industries, Miss Luan Shao, he said, calmly showing the central Jager. D. Japan. With them we will be able to face the cages, he said, causing a little relief. Reporter. Now with the events that have occurred recently, all the presidents know something about that being called Issei, who is believed to be Godzilla, he said seriously. D. Jan. I will answer that question, and it is that in all the records there are only 2 people with the name Issei, both are from my country, one of them is missing, and the other is registered in Ku's academy, he said seriously. Reporter. So you think it's him, he said curiously. D. Japan. We do not rule out any possibility, we even read towards the idea that the missing Issei is Godzilla, and that is why he has never been heard from again, but we will not leave any loose ends, so we will go to Ku to talk to that Issei, he said seriously. Your academy. We see the 2 alphas leaving the place, walking through the streets, realizing that the situation was quite worrying, since now they not only had to worry about the cages, but also the Jagers. Angel. Things have become very tense, don't you think? He said calmly. Issei. If I can't deny it, and the truth is I'm afraid of what might happen, you know, he said thoughtfully. Angel. It's normal to be afraid, you know, because now we can all die, he said looking at the night sky and seeing the stars. Issei. And do you think we can have help from other cages, he said thoughtfully. Angel. Maybe, but we should do something like what Victor did, but without revealing your identity, he said seriously. Issei. But do you think that sending a message asking for support from the cages to help us is not something strange, and people would be confused, he said thoughtfully. Angel. Not a message, a roar, he said seriously. Issei. What are you talking about? He couldn't continue because a magic portal appeared in front of them, and a black-haired woman with a large body and cat-like features came out, but she looked very injured, so much so that she couldn't stand up and had to be caught by Issei. Issei. Miss, is it okay? He said confused. Hiroka, where is Valerie? She said weakly as she fell unconscious. I see. Valerie, stop, he couldn't continue because now a boy appeared with a spear in his hands. How cow. Humans, if you don't want to die, give me the woman, he said seriously. Issei. Who are you? He said seriously. How cow. That doesn't matter to you, now give me the girl, he said seriously pointing with his spear. Angel. Issei, protect the girl, I'll take care of this idiot, he said seriously. How cow. Do you think you can handle me, human? He said mockingly. Angel. And who said I'm human? Echoes of the past and a plan. Issei lifted the woman in his arms while the angel snapped his fingers while smiling, causing the stranger with the spear to take him more seriously since the boy's gaze didn't seem to be confused or intrigued since both boys saw him come out of a magic circle. Angel. Well, unknown, I will show you what a king can do, he said seriously, taking a big leap, landing in front of the boy who barely managed to dodge his attack. How cow. I see that you are not human. I wonder what kind of supernatural being. He could not continue because Angel appeared in front of him, hitting him in the abdomen. Angel. Stop talking, I want to fight, he said seriously, starting to throw a large number of blows that Cao tried to dodge and others that were blocked by his spear. Cao. Enough of the games, you've already made me angry, he said seriously, moving away from the black-haired man and launching a large number of attacks with his weapon. Angel. That's all you have, he said seriously while holding the spear as if it were nothing, taking advantage of the momentum and crashing the blue-haired boy into the ground. Issei. You should finish him quickly, don't you think? He said seriously. Angel. Sure, say goodbye, he said seriously while his fists began to create red rays. Cow. I will not die here, don't even think about it, he said seriously while creating a magic circle and disappearing from there. Issei. Wow, it seems like he ran away, he said seriously. Angel. Calm down, he will come back, he said calmly. Issei. How do you know? He said seriously. Angel. I have your spear, he said showing him the weapon. Issei. But as the advice that doesn't matter, let's look for Valerie. 3 hours later. Department of the Fallen. Valerie. Then Cao left, but before he escaped you took his spear from him, she said incredulously while looking at the black-haired man. Angel. Yes, Coco was very careless, he said while playing with the spear. Brainer. His name is Cao and please, that sacred gear is very dangerous, be careful, she said nervously. Angel. Yes, for the moment I will stay with her in case Peanut comes for her, he said calmly while looking out the window. Brainer. Because the young Issei called the Tower of Ria's Gremory, she said curiously. Angel. Well, let's say the Kaneko and that woman are united by certain blood ties, isn't that true, Valerie? He said calmly. Valerie. Maybe you know. Kaneko. Because you brought me before this criminal senpai, she said with clear anger and sadness, seeing the brunette lying on the bed of her who slowly opened her eyes. Kuroka. Shy Shirin, my little one, she couldn't continue because Kaneko spoke. Kaneko. You are not my sister, she screamed with hatred in her heart about to come out but was stopped by Issei. Issei. Kaneko, I can see in your eyes a deep hatred towards her, but I also see a deep sadness, a sadness as deep as hers, he said seriously, while the albino remained motionless, trying to analyze the brown-haired boy's words of she. Kaneko. A monster like her because she would feel sadness, she said coldly. Kuroka. Why do you ask why? Why does the only family I have left despair and hate me when all I did was protect her? She said sadly as some tears fell from her face. Kaneko. Protect me from the fact that because of you I was condemned to death. If it weren't for the Gremory family I would be dead, and all because the power went to your head and you killed your king, she said, with all the anger she had stored up. Kuroka. Do you really think it was because of that? She said in a cold tone of voice. Kaneko. I won't spend any more time with you, I don't continue because Issei spoke. Issei. She heard everything you had to say, now it's your turn, he said seriously. Kuroka. That bastard who called himself my king was nothing more than a bastard who wanted to hurt you, use you as a hex toy. After all, with my power he was more than satisfied and you were no longer of interest to him to be part of his entourage, Daella, she said with tears, staring at her sister Daella, who opened her eyes in shock. Kaneko. That's not true, you're lying, she said incredulously. Kuroka. I would never lie if it was about you. I love you, you are my sister. I heard that miserable man talking to his friends, wanting you to develop so he could enjoy your body, and if not, he would kill you, since he had no plans for you. When I heard him, my rage broke out and I killed him. I just wanted to protect you, she said with great pain, while tears came out of her face. Issei. She is telling the truth, he said calmly, giving a sad sigh. Kaneko. Senpai died in shocked. Issei. Ella's eyes are the window to her soul, seeing her while she was talking about her, I could see the truth in her words. Kaneko, she is telling the truth, he said calmly. Kaneko. Ninasama yo, she said with tears. Issei. I leave you alone, he said calmly as he left the place. Angel. It seems that you achieved what you wanted, right? He said seriously looking at the brown-haired boy entering the room. Issei. It seems so, tell me how is what you asked for, he said seriously. Angel. Everything will be ready for tomorrow, he said calmly. Issei. Let's see if the plan works. The next day. We can see everyone gathered on the top of a mountain, watching as Azazel placed an extra reception antenna on the top, while Issei looked a little nervous. Many were also surprised to see Kuroka next to Valerie somewhat hurt, but present the only one who smiled at her appearance was Surzich. Michael. Well, boy, what's your plan? He said curiously. Issei. We will do what Ghidorah did, but now in our own way, he said somewhat nervously. Angel. Could you calm down? It would work, he said while helping the fallen man. Issei. But if no one answers, what will we do? He said seriously. Angel. Then we will have a great disadvantage at the time of the battle, he said seriously. Issei. Wow, how good, now I feel calmer, he said ironically. Leah. Calm down, Issei, everything will be fine, she said in a flirtatious way, bothering a number of girls. Sarah. Control yourself, she said, tightening her grip on the girl's vines. Azazel. Everything is ready and the others are placed around the planet, he said calmly. Angel. Thanks Azazel, your men really work fast, he said calmly. Azazel. Well, we were not the only ones who fell. The different factions lent several of their men for the job, he said sincerely. Angel. I see, okay, Issei, it's time to work, ready, he said while Azazel activated the machine and the black-haired man gave him a microphone. Issei. I'm sure it will turn out well, he said doubtfully. Angel. Come on, Issei, roar like only the king of the monsters would do, he said seriously. Issei. Grrrr. Meanwhile, in space, a strange meteorite entered the solar system at high speed, and the strangest thing seemed as if it had a set course. Said course was none other than Earth. Big problems. Everyone was shocked at the imposing roar that the chestnut tree gave, alerting everyone that something big was approaching, and especially a three-headed dragon that, faced with the imposing roar, only showed a serious face on each of its heads. Riaz. That was amazing, she said incredulously like the leaders in her group. Issei. I hope it helps, he said doubtfully. Angel. Don't worry, everything will be fine, I hope, he said while looking at the sky. Michael, young Angel is fine, he said curiously. Angel. It's not just a strange feeling, I feel like something big is about to come, he said without taking his eyes off the sky. Issei. You too, he said seriously. Angel. I think you think the same as me, right? He said seriously. Issei. If danger is about to come. Unknown location. We can see Rizavum quite upset since Victor was in front of him, and his annoyance was clear after the roar given by the brown-haired boy, and it was very possible that this would cause problems later on. The ICTOR1, tell me everything is ready, he said angrily. Rizavum. Yes, sir, we have already managed to create all the Jagers drones ready to open the breaches, he said nervously. The ICTOR2. And how is the plan going to find that bastard and for the world to show him the contempt he deserves? Said his second voice of him. Rizavum. I do an apostrophe T, no ma'am, he couldn't continue because his cell phone rang. The ICTOR1, and now what happens, he said seriously when he saw how the albino smiled maliciously. Rizavum. I understand. Thank you for the information, sir. I have excellent news, he said seriously. The ICTOR2. What news, come on, spit it out, he said seriously. Rizavum. The government has been informed that a mysterious blue ray was shot into the sky in the city of Ku, he said, without removing his smile from him. The ICTOR1, and what about that, he said seriously. Rizavum. My lord, there are only 2 IC in the entire world, and one of them is in the city of Ku, he said seriously, while taking the appearance of the Japanese president. Victor. Well, it seems we found it. 2 days later. We can see Riaz and the others quite uneasy, since ever since what happened the cages have been moving away from them, looking at the horizon every moment. Sona was also quite confused since the kaiju marks had disappeared and none were on the map, which was strange to her. Riaz. Guys, don't have that feeling of nervous anguish in your chest, she said. Irina. If I'm honest, the truth is that from what Issei and Angel talked about after launching the call, she said thoughtfully. Valerie. The fact that something big is about to happen in the world leaves many questions that we would like to answer, but we can't, she said seriously. Isara. I just hope that my brother and the others can emerge victorious in this battle, she said nervously. Sona. And I wonder how much this will affect the facts and especially the human world, what the hell? She screamed in disbelief while looking at her computer. Riaz. What's wrong with you? She said nervously while the brunette turned pale. Sona.la, the marks came back, and in 5 more cages are here, she said nervously turning her computer, showing how 5 points were close to Ku and approaching. Riaz. We must look for Issei. They all left the place in a hurry trying to find the brunette or one of the cages, but they couldn't find anyone until they reached where they sat the roar, seeing how Issei and company were standing with a serious look while 5 people appeared in front of them. Riaz. And who are they? She said in a whisper. Valerie. Gremory, Heidi said holding the reed while they all hid in some bushes and behind trees. Issei. I see you came, he said looking at the 5 people. We never agreed with the idea of killing humans, said a girl with strange spider legs behind her. Angel. I'm surprised to see that it's you who came, he said seriously looking at the 5. The surprising thing is that you are here. What did Issei do to convince you, said a boy with 2 sharp swords. Angel. It's something that doesn't matter to you, Behemoth, he said seriously. Guys, we were not called to fight each other, so please calm down, said a somewhat small blue-haired girl. Sarah. Leviathan is right, we shouldn't fight, she said calmly. Mia. I'm surprised she's here after rotting, and tell me who you slept with, Nora, she said mockingly seeing a black-haired girl with great horsemanship. Nora. Shut up, crazy, in case you don't know, I can reproduce myself, and I admit that those 2 were a mistake, and by the way, guys, I thank you for killing those 2, she said more calmly. And tell us, Issei, what your plan is now that we are together, he said it would be a somewhat effeminate blue-haired boy. Issei. We will fight, we are 10, and they are also 10, we are clearly equal, we must take advantage of it to beat them, he said seriously. Eric. And do you think we can beat them? Said the boy with the sword seriously. Issei. Of course, if we work together we will achieve it. Kong Mathra Biolante Zilla Behemoth Leviathan Sila Mudo Prime Shinamura. Yes, we have all the power to achieve it, but we will only do it together, he said seriously while putting his hand in the center. Eric. It sounds like it will be crazy, but I will be inside, he said seriously while everyone slowly began to place their hands. Issei. Thank you for helping us, and he couldn't continue because something fell to their side, catching their attention. Angel. Grenade shouted as the device exploded, releasing an electric wave that began to paralyze all the boys. Ria's Issei screamed worriedly about to go help but was stopped by Valerie. Japanese Colonel. Nice to meet you, young Issei, or should I say Godzilla, he said seriously while Issei was still stunned by the grenade. I see madam, he said trying to recover. CJ. Shoot darts, he said seriously while a platoon of soldiers fired several tranquilizer darts at the boys. Isara. We can't leave them, she said worried. Riaz. What do we do? She said nervously. Issei. Don't do anything, he screamed weakly before falling unconscious. Riaz. Issei said holding his chest. Soldier. Sir, do you think there are more around here? He said nervously. CJ. I don't care, he's the important one, put them on the truck, he said seriously while they were being loaded onto a truck. Soldiers. Ready, sir, they said in unison. CJ, let's see how the world will receive it. 7 hours later. Bigger base. There was a great deal of excitement as all the cameras were activated, revealing the president, who was preparing to give a worldwide speech entitled The Great Discovery. Scientist. Sir, we are on the air, he said seriously as they watched the group of boys being down, and the commander pointed at the brown-haired boy. Japan, hello world, today is a historic day because with great effort, we managed to capture Godzilla. Chaos begins, destruction begins. Everyone was in shock, and not only them, but the supernatural world was shocked after what the president of the Japanese nation said, while they focused on the brunette who slowly opened her eyes staring at the camera. Japan. Please say hello, Mr. Issei, or should I say Godzilla, he said seriously while holding the brown-haired boy's head, and the soldiers placed strange handcuffs on all the cages. Japan. Do not try to free yourselves, gentlemen. Cages, these handcuffs were created with the highest technology and can only be opened with my voice, and with the slightest attempt to break them, a strong discharge will be released that of course you can resist, that shows that we humans can win. He could not continue because Issei spoke. Issei. Everyone is going to die, he said in a cold voice. Japan. Sorry, he said curiously. Issei. You think we are a threat, but those of us here were only looking to protect you, and now you have condemned your race to extinction, he said seriously while not looking away from the cameras. Japan, ha 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 ha, I really don't believe it. We have our Jagers. With them we will defeat the missing cages, he said with arrogance. Issei. That served you very well in San Francisco. If it weren't for Kong and I, you would have seen your great machines turned into a simple pile of scrap, but listen to me and do it right. What is coming will be extinction, and you yourself are the only ones to blame for this, he said with a super cold voice that caused fear in people, since the boy's gaze was so penetrating. Japan. Enough is enough, I will not listen to your disgusting voice anymore, lock them up. 15 hours later. Underworld Gremory Castle. We can see all the leaders quite alarmed after the boys' confinement, and the most affected were the members of the Gremory clan, who could do nothing to help the cages, especially Issei. Sirzich. We must do something to help the boys, he said seriously. Anubis. But since we would only reveal our existence to humans, making things even worse. Riaz. But we can't leave them alone to be killed, she said upset. Ross. Calm down Grimory heiress, I know it's hard, but we have to think of a good way to help them without attracting too much attention he said calmly trying to calm the reed. Valerie. I think we should go to that place and exterminate them all she said seriously. Isara. I think the same she said with annoyance. Michael. Calm down, I know what humans did bother you, but we have to act wisely he said seriously. Auden. But now we have to see what the Cows Brigade is planning he said seriously. Surzich. You're right, they are also a danger he said seriously. I could help you with that said a voice from the shadows. Quetzalcoatl. Who are you, show yourself she said seriously. With pleasure, leaders said a gothic lowly with an expressionless look. Isaka. Ouroboros office what are you doing here? She said with shock while everyone became alert. Office. As I said, I can help you she said seriously. Azazel. In what sense he said in a serious voice. Office. As you know, I was the leader of the Cows Brigade, but now I have realized my mistakes, and that is why I want to help you, she said with her typical expressionless tone of voice. Michael. Really then tell us what you are planning he said seriously. Office. An alien invasion. Aegis lockdown Jaeger base. Angel. I think you were right he said calmly looking at the wall opposite his back. Issei. What do you mean? He said curiously. Angel. We should never have helped humans, we should have let them see their fate, let them see their suffering he said with a bitter tone of voice. Issei. You are very wrong, everything we have done so far was for a good purpose, and maybe it got a little messed up, but we can still show everyone what we are capable of he said, while smiling at all the cages who looked at him confused. Eric. I see that despite everything you still have that optimism that you have in mind he curious said. Issei. Let's just say that if things continue as they are, maybe and just maybe the Jagers won't be able to face the great threat that is to come, and the humans will turn to us he said seriously. Fabia. And then what? Said the spider girl curiously. Issei. I just want you to support me. 2 days later. Base of the Chaos Brigade. The ICTOR-1 Lucifer is all set he said seriously. Lucifer. Yes sir we are ready he said nervously. Victor. Then let's start the invasion. Human world. In different parts of the Pacific Ocean, strange giant robots began to emerge out of nowhere and start shooting a strange ray from their chest. Bigger base. Scientists 2. Sir, we have several readings of strange nervous energy around the entire Pacific he said. Scientist 1. What the hell? He said incredulously as all the screens showed the Japanese president. Issei. But what's going on? He said curiously while all the cages looked out a window in his cell where there was a television. The Japan. Hello world are you ready for our big surprise? He shouted excitedly while Victor appeared next to him. The ICTOR-1 Hello humans, remember me, I hope that I am King Ghidorah and I am here to declare that today is the end of humanity he said seriously. The Japan. Everyone will wonder what is happening, well first of all your beloved Japanese president is dead. I am Rizavam live in Lucifer he said while transforming his appearance. Valerie. That damn thing he said with hatred while watching the screen in the Grimory mansion. Rizavam. Haha you humans are so stupid and easy to fool, you thought that the Jagers would be your hope, now tell me what you can do with our guests he said seriously while moving the camera where the drones were seen in a circle, making a strange large creature emerges from the place. The ICTOR-1. With the cages of this world and our new friends, we will conquer this whole world and the factions, but that is not the best thanks to you my only rival is imprisoned, and Rizavam is the only one who can free them hahaha and don't even think that the Jagers will be of help he said seriously, while Rizavam pressed a button and the shot changed, showing the Jager base with the 5 models. And some parts of his body exploded. Rizavam. Long live the precursors. Breaking point. Everyone watched in horror as across the Pacific, a number of 9 new kaiju emerged from the ocean and joined King Ghidorah, as well as several human kaiju, a total of 8, arriving by land and air to join him. Issei. This can't be he said incredulously seeing the 9 alien creatures. Angel. Issei, you already saw that he said seriously, pointing at the other 9 cages. Issei. Because there were only 9 where he is he said confused. Angel. I don't know and that confuses me he said seriously. Rizavam. Good luck humanity, you will need it. The transmission was cut off and obviously panic began to break out among all the people, implying that their end had just arrived, while in the Jager's base, people ran from one side to the other, while trying to analyze the Jagers and see where the damage was. The Germany. We have to do something and fast he said seriously, while a global broadcast reappeared everywhere in the world. The Mexico. First of all, I would like to ask everyone in the countries to remain calm. We will find a solution to this big problem he said, trying to maintain his composure. Gyusa. We know that the situation is quite complicated, but we can get through it, he said seriously. v. Spain. I think the most logical situation is to release the cages that we have locked up, he said seriously, while many of the world people began to discuss it. V. Argentina. That would be very dangerous, they could join the others and cause more problems, he said seriously. V. India. But supposedly they are here to defend us, that was what they mentioned, I think we should ask for their help, he said seriously. V. Portugal. But now we have to look at the issue of who was that strange man who passed himself off as the Japanese president, he said seriously. Sirzich. We can answer that question, he said as huge magic screens appeared in the sky of the different cities, showing the retreat alongside the leaders. V. Venezuela. But what the hell, he said incredulously. Michael. A pleasure, humans, we will be fast due to the threat we are under with the cages. We are supernatural beings that only you believed were fictional, angels, demons, gods, etc. Everything that you only believed was legends, he said seriously. Well, Sirzich, Azazel, and he took out their wings. Aden. The being that caused all this is called Rizavum Livan Lucifer, he is a descendant of the original Lucifer and a great criminal among the factions, he said seriously. Isaka. Now you yourself caused your own condemnation, since after all we met Issei and the other cages, and we can assure you that they are very good and kind people who did not deserve to be seen as monsters, she said seriously. Anubis. And that's why we will free the boys, he said seriously, while the image changed showing Riaz and her group creating a protective barrier as many guards were shooting. Riaz. Issei, we will free them, she said nervously while she opened the door with magic. Issei. Don't do it, he said seriously, leaving all the spectators confused. Riaz. I see, what are you talking about, she said confused. Issei. We could be free whenever we wanted, he said calmly while everyone broke their handcuffs. Riaz. Then why have you stayed here? She said confused. Issei. People see us as monsters, so we will leave this world to its fate. I want the leaders and the other supernatural beings to listen and do well. I want them to seek refuge in their kingdoms, and kingdoms like the Yake seek asylum in another faction, since we will not do anything for this world that despises us now that we know that the supernaturals are with the cages when they go to their kingdoms. We will go to help but not the humans, he said seriously, looking at the television camera and the transmission circle. CJ. How dare you leave us alone, couldn't continue because Issei spoke. Issei. Silence, you, her rather, none of you have the slightest right to demand anything from us. We just wanted to live in peace, but you just wanted to eliminate us, he said with hatred. Riaz. Issei, please don't do this, she said sadly. Issei. Riaz understands this had to happen, and please go to Ku and take Cadis, he said seriously, while closing the door with them inside, and then used his atomic breath to seal the door. Riaz. Let's go, girl, she said sadly while she most looked sadly at Issei. Angel. Issei, are you sure, he said curiously. Issei. Say. One day later. Things continued to panic around the world as strangely all the enemy cages headed to Antarctica, where with effort they managed to unearth the saucer that was there, and when it was free, it began to rise, staying next to Ghidorah. Well, there were also protests everywhere where they blamed the government for this, and others demanded that Issei and the others go out and fight. Angel. Things are getting worse and worse, I'm sure we can win, he said seriously. Mia. How can you last from Issei, he is the best, she said seriously. Issei. Thank you for your support, but I know that things got complicated, but we can deal with it, we just have to trust, he said calmly while someone knocked on the door. Mia. We already told them to get out, she said seriously. Cadis. Don't receive the friend, she said calmly. Issei. Cadis, what the hell are you doing here? You should have gone with Riaz, he said seriously. Cadis. She brought me, please Issei, don't give pleasure to all those who called you a monster, you are more than that, not just you, everyone, please Issei, she said while tears came out of her face, while the camera recorded everything, while half of humanity waited for Issei to agree to fight. Dr. Serizawa. Young Godzilla, please, I know that there are very few people who value you, but please, we ask for your help to be able to continue existing in this world that you have been protecting, said the man as he appeared next to his assistant. Issei. But do you think this will really change things? The way people see us will never change, he said seriously. Dr. Graham. Please Godzilla-sama, many of us want to continue living, and I want to see our son born, she said, while Serizawa looked at her in surprise, while Issei opened his eyes. Riaz. Please Issei, show everyone what you are capable of, she said appearing next to Cadis. Issei. Let's do it, he said knocking down the door, leaving the people and the factions in shock. Issei. Come on Sona, I need the location of those bastards, he said seriously. Sona. They are in the South Pacific Ocean moving in a group to the north, she said seriously looking at her computer. Issei. Well Riaz, I want you to tell all the leaders to send all their people around the countries that border the Pacific Ocean, and when I say all I mean all, he said seriously. Riaz. For what? She said confused. Issei. We will create a magic barrier around the entire Pacific coast on both sides. We will temporarily enclose them in the ocean until everything is ready, but Riaz, I want some hands and especially someone who can help us repair those things, he said seriously, pointing at the Jagers. Mako. He will use us, he said with the other pilots. Issei. Of course we will need all the help possible, he said seriously. Riaz. I have the right person. Sekvera. Wow, what crazy, she screamed excitedly seeing the robots. Issei. I think this will do, he said seriously. Azazel. Issei, we will also help, said the black-haired man next to Ajuka. Issei. Well, it's time to fight to survive. The battle begins. The whole world was on full alert. Most of the supernatural beings, including the leaders, were in the countries that had coasts with the Pacific, creating a great magical wall of more than 10 kilometers high, while at the Jaeger base the Cages, along with Sekvera Jagers and a large number of humans, were preparing the counterattack against King Ghidorah and his forces. Leah. Issei, now the way things are, do you think we can beat them? She said a little nervously. Issei. Trust me, yes, he said calmly while kissing the albino. Leah. Whatever you say, she said with an air of love. Angel. We are 15 against 19, he said seriously. Issei. Maybe the king of the island can't take on a couple of rivals at the same time, he said seriously. Angel. You want the king of the island, I'll give you the king, he said seriously while cracking his knuckles. Sona. Guys, you should see this, she said, showing the image of the sensors. Seeing how the Cages, despite the barrier, did not care, they continued advancing to the north of the planet. Sarah. Where do you plan to go? She said curiously. Issei. United States, he said seriously. Eric. Are you sure? He said seriously. Issei. Of course they want to demonstrate their power by destroying the most powerful country, he said seriously. CJ. We must send the information to order the evacuation of the coastal cities, he said seriously. Issei. No, not just the coastal cities, evacuate all the states, he said seriously. CJ. All states, he said incredulously. Leah. I don't hear deaf if all the states go, she said seriously. Azazel. Boy, they're there, he said seriously while together with Ajuka and Sekvera, they pointed at the 5 fully repaired robots. Issei. Well, that's all, we're ready, he said seriously. Riaz. Issei, she said nervously, appearing with her Daella entourage, Daella, Cadis, Sona, her sister Daella Kateria, the church envoys, Valerie and Kuroka. Issei. Girls, what are you doing here? He said confused. Riaz. We couldn't let you go to that fight without telling you that. Bremeries, Valerie, Kuroka, church envoys, Cadis. We love you, they all said with a strong blush, bothering me a little. Issei. Kai girls, he said blushing. Angel. Come on Casanova, don't just say that, answer, he said calmly. Issei. Sarah, what do you think about this? He said confused, watching his sister smile mockingly. Sarah. I am nobody to decide your life, only you can decide that, although it would be incredible to have so many sisters-in-law, he said amused. Issei. Well, the truth is that I also like you all for your many qualities, and the truth is that I could never decide on just one, that includes you, he said blushing. Leah. What can I do? But if that's what you want, I won't interfere with your decision, but let's be clear. I'll be the first, she said seriously while Issei smiled nervously. Issei. Thank you, he said calmly. Sarah. And you will stay there without saying anything, she said looking at the 2 Citrus and the Leviathan. Sona. We, she nervous said. Sarah. Yes, silly, I already know that you 3 are crazy about Angel, she said calmly. Seraphil. Well, the truth is that we like it but couldn't continue because Sarah spoke. Sarah. It's okay, but I want you to understand that I'm the first, like Mia said, she said calmly, while the 3 of them agreed happily. Angel. If there are no more unexpected statements, I think it's time, isn't it, Issei, he said seriously, looking at the brown-haired boy. Issei. It's time to fight. 3 hours later. As if the world knew what was about to happen, a strong storm hit the state of California, the very place where the evil Cages had decided to begin their attack, but thanks to the supernatural beings everything had been evacuated. But in the sky 5 magic circles appeared from which the 5 Jagers fell from the sky, so that seconds later on the ground, the 10 Cages began to appear ready for what would be the final fight. Godzilla Ghidorah grew. Both titans roared loudly as they ran against each other, colliding. As soon as both leaders collided with each other, their respective groups launched themselves against each other, unleashing multiple clashes of power to power. The first to make contact was Kong, who, taking advantage of his great strength, held the crab-shaped kaiju, making it crash into another of the aliens, the one that seemed to have 3 tails. In the skies 2 aerial fights broke out between Mathra against Mathra and Shinamura against Rodan, having the most even fights of all. On the coast, Leviathan quickly managed to drag Mbembe, having a little more advantage but not much, since the kaiju had the qualities of being able to survive underwater. Also the one who had a slight advantage against two opponents was Muto Prime, who kept Kamakuras and Kamobas at bay, since being a kaiju with a size similar to Ghidorah and with several limbs, he had them at bay. On the other front there was Behemoth, who began to fight against Megalon, who, despite not having the corpulence of his adversary, made up for it with speed. Then there was Scylla, who with great effort managed to keep up with Megaguirus, who used his great speed, trying to cause great damage to the semi-spider. And in the last fight between human cages, Zilla Jr. was fighting the smallest kaiju of his adversaries, Baragon, who had great resistance but was greatly outclassed by the junior, who gave him no respite. On the other hand, there was Biollante, who had a very close battle against Itachi, who tried to attack with acid coming out of his mouth, but the mutant plant counterattacked with its own acid and also tried to trap the opponent in its vines. Now the Jagers did not sit idly by. First Gypsy Danger began to fight against the kaiju that looked like it had a knife head. For his part, Guardian Foxtrot began his fight against the kaiju that could launch spines with his tail, countering them with his missiles. In the most even battle of the robots, Cherno Alpha was battling against the largest kaiju, who had an ape complex since he used his arms to attack. Elsewhere, Crimson Tiffin was fighting the kaiju that looked somewhat human, although it had slight complications because every time he tried to hit it, it put up a kind of protection that allowed it to absorb the attack. The first Jaeger striker Eureka was the one who had the most complicated battle since he was facing two cages, the one that looked like a crocodile and one that was hiding underground. Ghidorah. You will never be able to win, how are you so stupid not to see it? He said seriously while trying to send Godzilla to the ground. Godzilla. And you think I'm crazy to let you end the world, he said seriously. Ghidorah. You could have chosen the winning side, but now you have to suffer, he said seriously, while the kaiju digging underground attacked the lizard, sending him to the ground. Rhea's Issei screams worriedly. Ghidorah. Now he roared as the alien ship that had been doing nothing since the beginning began to stretch some strange tentacles that began to drain Godzilla's blood while a strange thing emerged from the ship. Kong. Godzilla, he said worriedly, trying to free himself, but it was impossible for him as well as the others while they watched as a strange thing began to take shape. Ghidorah. This is the true being that must have emerged in you, Godzilla. I present to you Orga. He roared as the creature stood at his side. Pages Jagers. This is not possible. They could not continue because a loud explosion was heard a few kilometers behind. Sona. What is that? She said incredulously, watching the screen as a strange creature with two knives as arms stared at Ghidorah. Ghidorah. Who are you? Aya, the three-headed kaiju, was suddenly attacked by the being with the knives. I am Gyan. Changing situation. The place was completely silent after the sudden appearance of the self-named Gyan, who with a quick movement managed to hurt Ghidorah, who could not defend himself against the attack of the strange being, who remained standing in the same place where he appeared. Is it a kaiju? She said confused. Sona. It seems so, she said nervously. Valerie. And it seems that he is on our side. Back in the fight. Ghidorah. Damn you, how dare you attack me, he said furiously. Gyan. You are a threat and that is why you must be destroyed, he said seriously. Godzilla. Gyan, I don't know who you are or where you come from, but I ask you to let me face Ghidorah, he said in pain as he stood up. Gyan. I can see the determination in your eyes. Okay, I'll let you face Ghidorah. I'll take care of that thing, he said seriously while looking at Orga. Godzilla. Thank you, he said seriously as he stood next to Gyan. Gyan. But first I'll take care of that pesky mosquito, he roared loudly, launching a powerful laser beam from his visor, hitting the spaceship head-on, making it explode. As soon as the debris of the ship began to fall, the battle between the colossi resumed, but it could be seen that now they were ready to go to the end of everything in order to achieve victory. Kong. You damn vermin are starting to pull me out, he said with annoyance, while using all his strength, he managed to split the one that looked like a crab in half. Slattern. Cray, the second kaiju, as quickly as his partner was defeated, tried to pounce on the king of the island, who with a small jump, managed to dodge his attack. Kong. You are not like us, you are really just monsters created for destruction, he said seriously, while he grabbed him by his multiple tails and threw him against a building. Mathra. You are a bastard, how can you be on the side of that wretch, he said seriously while colliding with Batra, who fell crashing into a building. Batra. Because we are gods, beings who are above humans and we deserve to rule, he said furiously as he tried to get up, but Mathra threw her moth webs at him, trapping him. Mathra. Forgive me, even though we could have been like brothers, she said with some melancholy, falling into a nosedive, stabbing him in the head with her stinger, killing him instantly. Shinamura. One fell and only you remain, he said seriously while he fiercely collided with Rodan. Rodan. You guys really are stupid, you turned into dogs that fight for humans, he said seriously while launching his powerful heat ray destroying a large part of the city since his rival managed to dodge it. Shinamura. You are very wrong that you do not see that we fight alongside humans with those strange machines. They are fighting because we all understand that what you do is crazy, he said angrily while hitting him with his wings. Rodan. Haha, do you really think I'll believe that tale? He couldn't continue because Shinamura stabbed him in the neck with his stinger, making him fall and crash violently to the ground. Shinamura. I don't care if you believe me. Leviathan. I will finish you once and for all, he said angrily while throwing Mikkel, who was desperately trying to free himself and get to land. Seraphol. Come on Leviathan, show them that no one messes with you, she said excitedly while a drop of sweat appeared on the back of everyone's neck. Kateria. You never change. Mikkel Mbemb. You're just a simple stupid girl believing herself to be a heroine, he said seriously while sinking his fangs into her Leviathan's tail. Leviathan. I may be a girl, but I'm much stronger than you, she said angrily as she began to wrap herself around Mikkel's body and began to strangle him hard. Mikkel Mbemb. Neither nor think that this will serve to stop, he could not continue because his neck was broken while blood came out of his mouth. Leviathan. I know we suffered the same, but this could have been different. Hamakuras. Damn monstrosity, she said the furious mantis as she tried to attack Muto Prime, who only limited himself to hitting her with one of his hands. Muto P. It's not my fault that they are such weak cages, if they had chosen the right side, maybe they could have been victorious, he said seriously while taking Kamakuras and crashing him into a gas station that exploded out of nowhere. Kamakuras. Ah curse Kamobas, help me, he screamed while he caught fire. Muto P. Go help her, she said seriously. Kamobas. Do you think the world will accept me as I am? He said nervously as he stared at the Muto. Muto P. Of course, after all this fight is to show humans that we are good, she said calmly while ending Kamakura's life by crushing her like the insect she is. The MOBAs, I want to support them. Scylla. You think that just by flying fast you will beat me, said the spider while throwing Megaguirus against a train station. Megaguirus. Stupid spider, you will never be a rival for the fastest kaiju that has ever existed, he said furiously as he took flight and was about to attack, but Kong appeared between the buildings holding his stinger, sending him to the ground. Kong. Quickly finish him off, he said seriously while Scylla obeyed, sticking two of her legs into Megaguirus's body, and then Kong lifted him up and threw him against a building that fell on top of him. Behemoth. I think this is about to end, he said seriously as he charged Megalon, burying his horns in his body. Megalon. You guys just show that we are simple pets for human entertainment, he said, desperately trying to free himself, but it was useless, his opponent's attack had completely pierced him. Behemoth. How sad that you think that way, he said seriously, while with a quick movement of his head the horns came out of Megalon's body. Megalon. I was really wrong, mama, he said weakly as he fell dead. Zilla Jr. Dad, trust me, that's why I'll kill you, he said, falling on top of his rival and starting to step on his head. Berrigan. Your father would never be with Godzilla, he would be with us, you're just a disgrace like his son to Ella. He couldn't continue because the junior cut off his head to Ella with her hands. Zilla Jr. My father is Godzilla. Ailante. I can't believe it, I'm the only kaiju who hasn't defeated her opponent, how careless, she said amused as she subdued Itachi with her vines, beginning to stretch him. Mathra. Wow, I thought you needed help, she said seriously as she landed on a building. Ailante. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that I'm not done, she said seriously while splitting Itachi into four. While the cages ended the lives of their opponents, the Jagers managed to finish off the aliens, but it was no easy task since some of them had somewhat tough skin, but the real difficulty came when Leatherback performed an EMP with something on his back, cutting off the Jagers' electricity. But that only lasted a few seconds since Ikvera placed a magic reactor on them that was able to reactivate the robots almost instantly. Mako. Let's finish him off, she said seriously as they managed to split her kaiju in half. Lewin. Wait, I think he still has a pulse, she said seriously activating her plasma cannon, firing a few times until splitting the kaiju in half. Mako without a press. Pagaya. Come on sister, let's show them what we're made of, said the girl seriously, taking her opponent's tail and lifting him into the air, crashing him to the ground multiple times. Izuru. Affirmation, let's finish him off, she said seriously while they subdued him on the ground and blew his head off with their missiles. Xian. We have everything sorted out, let's finish him off, she said seriously as they hit Leatherback repeatedly in the face. Yan. Yes, let's show everyone that we can, she said seriously while squeezing the kaiju's neck, and after much effort she tore off her head. Ram. Stable enemy levels at 60%, she said seriously while holding the most human-looking kaiju and rising with thrusters to later use the force of the fall to throw it away. Ram. We must finish him off, she said seriously while the three arms activated rotating blades. Emilia. Triple attack, she said seriously while the three of them moved the three arms of the robot, cutting deeply into the kaiju until it fell dead. Lefei. Come on bro, we have to win, she said seriously while tearing off part of the crocodile kaiju's jaw. Arthur. Come on, let's finish him off before the other one shows up, he said seriously as they activated their missiles and attacked the kaiju with everything, killing him. Arthur. We only need one, where it is, he said confused. Godzilla. Just look around you, you have no allies anymore, he said seriously. Ghidorah. You think this is over, he said seriously. Godzilla. What are you talking about, he said angrily. Ghidorah. Now, he said seriously. Hakuja. Cry I. The last kaiju standing began to roar, while strangely the blood of two of the cages began to run against him as they began to mix with their own. Pong. But what the hell is going on, he said surprised. Behemoth. It seems like they are joining together, he said in shock. Mega kaiju cry, an imposing being of a size similar to Ghidorah roared. Ring ring ring. Arthur. Something is approaching from the sky, it looks like a meteorite, he said in shock over the speakers so the cages could hear him. Pong. Godzilla, quickly use your atomic breath, he said seriously. Godzilla without hesitation launched the attack towards the sky, right where the meteorite was coming from, beginning to slow it down, but still crashed into it, causing a huge explosion that shielded everyone. Issei screamed worriedly as visibility slowly returned. Everyone slowly began to see how the city was a large number of rubble, allowing them to see how the Cages and Jagers remained standing, albeit with some difficulty, but they could see Ghidorah and company who continued to stare at them. Ghidorah. So you arrived, he said seriously, while everyone turned to see a strange being looking at him seriously. Ghidorah monster. The danger of defeat. The entire battlefield was completely silent as they did not understand who that strange creature was who had a terrifying appearance, and not only that, there was also the problem of the mega kaiju, although the good cages seemed to have the advantage in number. In addition to the Jagers, they knew that being that Ghidorah called monster. Pong. Attack, he roared loudly as the cages launched themselves against the strange being, and the Jagers went against the mega kaiju, leaving Gigan against Orga and Godzilla against Ghidorah. Quickly the first to start the battle were the Jagers, who began to attack the mega kaiju with everything, who had the ability to absorb the energy of the attacks, returning it to the 5 Jagers who flew away due to the attack. Gaia. Damn thing, you made me angry sister, let's use the whip, she said angrily. Yuzuru. Affirmation, if we use it, he said, activating an energy whip in his right hand, launching into the attack. Mako. Girls, don't do it, it's too risky, she screamed worriedly, seeing how during the girls' attack, the mega kaiju grabbed them by the whip and began to spin with them, crashing them into several buildings until they were thrown into the distance. Lewin. Kagaya, Yuzuru, please tell us what your status is, she said worriedly as the remaining 4 cages stood on guard. Kagaya. We are fine, but the cabin is destroyed, the systems are not responding, and Yuzuru has a broken arm, she said scared while she saw how her sister was with a broken arm and unconscious. Riaz. Calm down, a team is on the way, she said seriously from the base, while Valerie and Kuroka transported to their cabin. Xion. Let's go for that bastard, he said seriously, activating the Jager's pistons. Ram Emilia Ram. Let's go with you, they said seriously while activating their blades. The Fae. Wait, we have to have a plan, she said worriedly. Ignoring Cherno Alpha, he launched himself into a fight with the mega kaiju, who without any problem grabbed both arms and then used his 2 tails to pierce Cherno, then lift him up and throw him at Striker, Eureka and Gypsy. Ram. Cherno fell, I repeat Cherno fell, she said seriously, while she and company launched several cuts with their blades, creating slight openings in the skin of the mega kaiju. Ram. Watch out, screamed in shock as the giant kaiju used his tail again, but this time to literally rip the robot apart but also pierce it with his tail. Riaz. Curse Chernoi and Tiffin fell, she said desperately while Lasara, Kiba, Akeno and Tsubaki transported to save the pilots. Arthur. We must give them time to rescue them, he said seriously. Lewin. With strength, serious shout while the 2 remaining Jagers ran against the kaiju, who did the same. As soon as they were close, the kaiju jumped to fall on top of Striker Arukia, who was trying to free himself even using his remaining missiles, but it seemed that these only caused minimal damage to the kaiju, while Gypsy jumped on top of him, beginning to give him several cuts all over the structure of his back, but it didn't last long since the kaiju grabbed him with his tail and threw him so that when he tried to get up, he used his tail again to pierce the Jager's helmet and then destroy Striker's entire chest. Sikvera. All the Jagers fell, she said incredulously. While this was happening, the cages began their fight against Monster into the air, holding her tail and using it to hit Shinamura, knocking them both down. Hyoudou Damn, you'll pay for that, she roared angrily as she raised her large legs and let them fall with everything against the kaiju, who without any problem stopped them, beginning to apply more and more force until he managed to unbalance the Hyoudou, and before she could react, he dropped a large building on top of her. Adelante. If you can't move you can't attack, she said seriously while covering the kaiju with vines, who began to struggle until he was able to free himself, leaving the plant in shock, who couldn't react to a strong blow that the creature gave him, sending him to the ground. Mathra. It's very strong, she said incredulously, watching as Monster X attacked Behemoth, crashing it into a bridge. Sila. It's my turn, she said seriously while throwing several blows with her legs, but due to the enemy's great speed she couldn't connect any, and it was more of an achievement to knock her down and tear off a couple of hers, causing a cry of pain in the kaiju. The MOBAs, Mathra and Zilla Jr. decided to launch a joint attack, with Mathra being the first to attack, wrapping Monster, making them crash against a hill, holding Zilla by the neck and beginning to strangle her. Godzilla. Zilla, he screamed worriedly, trying to go help her, but it seemed impossible since Ghidorah stopped his path. Kong. Let go of my niece, he roared, jumping from the top of the largest building in the city, crashing a trailer into the monster's entire body. Godzilla. Thank you, he almost said in a whisper. Kong. She's just a girl, I won't let you hurt her, he said seriously, taking the little girl away from her and then starting to run against the kaiju who imitated him. Both colossi showed to have great speed, colliding against each other, beginning to struggle trying to show who was the strongest, but Monster X did not take a second to try to grab Kong to throw him somewhere, but his plan failed since at the last moment Kong activated his electricity, distracting Monster. Kong. That should have been enough, now I have to finish that thing off, he said, looking at the mega kaiju. Monster X. Do you think I'm already defeated? The creature roared behind the gorilla, who turned around seeing how the kaiju was on his knees while strange wings appeared on his back. Kong. What the hell, he roared in disbelief as he watched the strange being begin to change shape. Godzilla. This is not possible, he roared in disbelief, seeing how the strange being had now become something identical to Ghidorah, but bigger. Ghidorah. Now they are finished, he said seriously while he, Orga and the mega kaiju stood next to Monster. Godzilla. We will not give up, there are still 3 of us left, he said seriously while Kong and Gyan stood by his side. Ghidorah. That's about to change, he couldn't continue because he started to shake, confusing everyone. Godzilla. What's going on? He said without understanding. Crane. Ghidorah. It's you, he said incredulously. There are not 3 of us. There are 4 of us, he roared seriously. Godzilla. Destroya. Final assault. The whole atmosphere felt completely tense after the sudden appearance of the last human kaiju, and his appearance was extremely terrifying and gave indications of being extremely powerful, since King Ghidorah had become nervous after his appearance. Destroya. What are we waiting for? Attack. After what the new kaiju said, the 8 attacked each other, having a small change in the confrontation since Kong went against the mega kaiju, leaving Destroya to face the newly changed Monster X, while Godzilla and Gyan continued with their rivals. Kong vs Mega Kaiju. The ruling gorilla of Skull Island was not even scared by the immense size of the kaiju fusion, in fact he took a great leap using one of the kaiju's own waves so that it would do more damage, taking advantage of every moment to give it powerful shocks that caused quite a bit of pain to the creature. Kong. It's time for the secret weapon, he said seriously while taking out from the rubble of a building what seemed to be a strange axe made of crystal. Kong. Let's play. Gyan vs Orga. On the other hand, we had the fierce battle between the unknown kaiju against the created one, who despite being made with Issei's DNA, did not have the same capabilities as him, since he was only limited to attacking with his immense hands, while on the other hand, Gyan caused great damage not only with his knives, but from time to time he attacked him with his laser. Gyan. Come on, you're no match for the threats in my world, what the hell, he said incredulously, watching the creature open his mouth wide. Gyan. What the, he couldn't continue because Orga pounced on him and started to put it in her mouth. Gyan. Let me go, damn it, he said furiously trying to get out of the kaiju's mouth, but it was useless, but the spectators watched that the more time Gyan spent inside his rival, he began to show characteristics similar to his, such as his end. Gyan. You've already tired me, he said furiously, while his body lit up beginning to charge his laser, which he fired with all his strength causing Orga to explode into pieces. Gyan. Unhappy. Destroya vs Monster. Perhaps the most heated fight of all since those who appeared to be the strongest cages of each side since each clash, they shook the entire place, causing the failure of quite a few buildings that were barely standing. Destroya. Wow, you are a worthy opponent, he said seriously while holding the central head of Monster X, making it spin around a bit and then throwing it with everything against the ground. Monster. Destroya. Unhappy you like to play, so do I, he said seriously, while his horn lit up and he launched a forceful blow against the three-headed dragon. Monster X. You're good but not good enough, he said, starting to rise in the air. Destroya. Imbecile, I can fly too and faster, he said seriously while chasing his rival who tried to hit him with one of his rays, but the last kaiju showed great ability to fly, since he could dodge any attack with great mastery, until he managed to get on top of the dragon, launching a powerful attack from his mouth that made the monster crash into the ground. Godzilla vs King Ghidorah. Both titans collided in the center of the city and began to struggle, trying to gain an advantage over the other, but these two demonstrated their great impetus by not giving in at any time, trying to surpass the other. King Ghidorah. You do not deserve this power, he roared furiously as he slowly began to gain ground in his favor. Godzilla. The one who doesn't deserve it is you, he said seriously as he managed to have a small opening by his launching powerful atomic breath, sending Ghidorah flying, who crashed head-on into the remains of what was left of the city. King Ghidorah. A simple crybaby with no special talent comes and becomes the favorite of that imbecile professor when I, the one who received the power from another planet, the one who reached the pinnacle of power, was left aside by a blue lizard, he said seriously as he attacked the lizard, biting it while it lit up. Godzilla. It's not my fault that Madman was more satisfied with my performance than yours, he said seriously, while he managed to remove one of Ghidorah's heads, and the third was bitten by him. King Ghidorah. I will kill you, I swear I will, and that will not be the best I know about you and how you, unlike the others, were able to find your family, and you will have a happy life with people who love you, but I will not allow it. Rizivum told me about them, and when I'm done with you I will kill them. You will see, I will start with your friends, yes, and then I will continue with those girls who have feelings for you, especially that Reed, what was her name, yes, laugh, but I will save the best for last. Your stupid sister, I will make her suffer in the cruelest way you can imagine, wishing for her death, since her pathetic brother could not do anything, he said seriously while attacking the boy with his rays. Godzilla. I won't let you get close to them, he roared with all his might. King Ghidorah. And who is going to stop him? He couldn't continue because Kong hit him hard in the jaw with his axe. Kong. Let it sweat, he said incredulously watching as his friend began to turn orange. Gyan. The radiation in his body is causing critical levels, he is becoming thermonuclear, he said seriously. Kong. This is bad, it can end us all, he said seriously. Gyan. We must get away, he said seriously. Kong nervously nodded as he placed his hand on the ground while all his allied cages began to run and climbed onto each other's hands, and then he and Gyan began to walk away. Gyan. Where is Destroya, he said nervously. Godzilla. What are you doing? You have to get away. I can't hold back for long. He said, watching Destroya throw Monster X at Ghidorah and fall on top of them. Destroya. Come on, release all your power, he said seriously. Godzilla. You're crazy, he said upset. Destroya. This will show that we can also make sacrifices for the common good, but I do want to ask you in favor, he said seriously. Godzilla. What a thing, he said trying to withstand the attack. Destroya. Look for my wife, her name is Alice, she is pregnant and Ella will have a beautiful girl, we want to call her Issei in your honor, he said with a calm look while struggling with both cages. Godzilla. I promise you, he said releasing a powerful radioactive wave that carbonized everything in its path, including the three cages. After the powerful attack, a large curtain of smoke rose high above that blocked the entire view of the spectators in cages who could not see anything. They did not know if the enemies had been defeated or not, but their uncertainty lasted little when they saw how from the rubble came out what seemed to be one of Ghidorah's heads, but then it was seen that it was in Godzilla's mouth, who launched his powerful attack disintegrating it, so that later, everyone saw how the cages returned to their titanic form, beginning to surround the lizard to kneel in front of him except for two Gyan and Kong, showing that for the cages Godzilla was the king of the monsters. Godzilla. Gruar. Ending evil. The coastal city was in total destruction after the titanic battle that had just taken place between cages, while everyone began to celebrate after the victory and salvation, thanks to Issei and the others who fought great. Now Godzilla, the better known as the king of the monsters, along with the others returned to normal, while helicopters arrived in front of them and supernatural beings arrived at the place. Issei screamed happily as all the girls pounced on him. Issei. Hey, it's okay that it's a giant lizard, but they all weigh too much, he said nervously. Sirzich. Issei, that was amazing, thanks for saving us, he said calmly. Issei. It wasn't just me, it was all of us, he said calmly while looking at his fellow cages and the pilots. Angel. Not to mention our friend who came out of nowhere, he said calmly looking at Gyan who was still in his kaiju form. Sona. I still don't understand how he came to help us, she said curiously. Issei. I don't know, but it was a great help. He couldn't continue because he saw how the kaiju began to shine and began to shrink, taking on a human form. Angel? Impossible, it's me, he said incredulously, seeing that Gyan in his human form was identical to him. Sona. What's going on? She said, confused. Kaneko? It looks like the meme of the two Spider-Men, she said curiously. Issei. Who are you? He said curiously, looking at the boy. I'm sorry to create these confusions, maybe we have the same appearance, but we are different. My name is Anharu, I come from Earth 20, he said calmly. Issei. Wait, am I new to Earth 20? You're telling me there's more than one Earth, he said confused. Anharu. It is correct, since the multiverse exists, each one with different lands, but where the cages exist, there are only 3 land 135, where you had a desire for revenge against Godzilla, but everything ended well. I suppose your land was Earth 78, and mine. In my world, there was an intense war between humans and supernatural beings against the Zillions, an alien race that colonizes planets through cages in a certain way, like the precursors of this world, he said calmly. Angel. So in your world humans and supernaturals had to create cages to protect themselves, he said curiously. Anharu. It is correct, in fact this was possible thanks to the union of both parties, but they not only created cages as such, but also artificial ones such as Mechagodzilla, or better known as Kiryu, a robotic copy of the first Godzilla, he said calmly. Issei. First Godzilla? Who is the current Godzilla in your world, he said curious. Anharu. Nobody, since he was a traitor who allied himself with the Zillions but was killed by the Issei of my world, who is King Ghidorah, he said calmly, while leaving everyone in shock. Issei. In that world I am Ghidorah, he said incredulously. Anharu. That's right, you were also the sekiryuutei, but the damn Razor Phoenix along with Rizavam tried to kill you, and Drake had to give his life to save you, he said calmly but a little angry. Issei. I see, and well, the biggest question is, how did you know we needed help? How did you come to our world, he said curiously. Anharu. One day, while trying to create a dimensional transmission system, we came across a recording of King Ghidorah threatening his world, and we thought maybe they needed help, so Issei sent me, he said calmly. Issei. Wow, incredible. He couldn't continue because the boy threw a strange device at him. Anharu. That's a locator device that will take you exactly to the location of that idiot Rizavam. Well, see you later, he said while looking at his wrist, and a portal opened behind him. Issei. Wait, in your world with whom I have a relationship, he said curiously. Anharu. You have a harem, he said as he ran to the portal and disappeared. Issei. Also harem, what the hell is wrong with me? He said amused. Colonel. Young Hyoudou, he said seriously while extending his hand with some papers in a folder. Issei. And this, he said curiously, taking the folder. Colonel. After your help in the victory today, the government of the United Nations grants you the right to live freely without the need to hide and to have a peaceful life. That officer. You are free, he said seriously, doing the military salute. Issei. Thank you, he said while all his classmates hugged each other. Asara. Congratulations, Nai-sama, you can live your happy life, she said excitedly. Issei. Not yet, he said seriously. Rias. I think you are right, there is still work to be done. 4 days later. Unknown location. We can see a strange laboratory, while an old albino man was seen running around the place somewhat nervously with his assistant trying to find something. Rizavam. Damn, everything is ruined, we must continue with the original plan, he said nervously. Euclid. Release the Trahixal Lord, he said nervously. Rizavam. If we have no other choice. A loud explosion shook the place as the entire man's base was covered in fire, and a bunch of soldiers from different factions, along with the DXD group and the leaders, arrived where Rizavam was. Valerie. Your time is up, old man, she said seriously with her wings spread. Rizavam. Ha, they think that because they found my base I am defeated? I don't think so, he said angrily, shooting at the ceiling, flying himself while he took out his wings with Euclid ready to leave. Godzilla. Both terrorists paled when they saw that outside their base Godzilla and Kong were waiting for them. Asara. I think my brother meant with his roar, where do you think you're going? She said mockingly as the leaders surrounded Rizavam. Sirzich. For your terrorist acts throughout this time, in addition to allying yourself with beings that put both supernatural and human life at risk, Rizavam Livan Lucifer is sentenced to death, he said seriously. Rizavam. They think they will be safe when the precursors want to return, they think you can handle them, he said seriously, while everyone watched as Issei returned to his human form, and thanks to a magic circle of Rias he was face to face with the old man. Issei. When that happens we will be ready, he said with his reptilian eyes, so that at that precise moment the brown-haired boy pierced his chest, and Valerie ripped off his head. Valerie. This nightmare is over. 2 days later. We can see a brown-haired and black-haired man watching the sunset in a port. Well, the black-haired man brought a few things with him, the brown-haired man looks somewhat thoughtful. Issei. So you think your parents might be in Mexico, he said curiously. Angel. Yes, from the little I remember, it is that I am from there, and thanks to the magic of Sona and the others, I have been able to recover a little more of my memories, so I will go look for them, he said calmly. Issei. And what will happen with Sona and the others, he said curiously. Angel. Talk to them and I'll return to Ku. Besides, most of the cages are around here, and I don't know if one day they'll get out of control, so I'll come to give you a hand. See you later, he said as he started an engine and the boat set sail. Issei. Goodbye and have a good trip, he said calmly. Angel. See you later. Issei. Now that I wonder why the hell he didn't go by plane, he said curiously. While he was going back home, the boat entered the ocean while the boy was carrying a box that covered it, revealing a strange crab-like being peeking out of it. Angel. Until you wake up, he said calmly. Shut up, how do you expect me to stay awake after you put me in this box, said the annoying crab. Angel. Don't complain, Robin, if it wasn't for you, I would have gone to my country by plane, he said calmly. Robin. It's not my fault, I thought more parts of my body would survive Godzilla's explosion, he said angrily. Angel. I know, but your sacrifice was epic. I must admit that, by the way, when would you be able to return to your authentic form? He said curiously. Robin. I don't know why, he said curiously. Angel. Because you fly, it would be faster if you took us flying, he said calmly. Robin. I don't know, a couple of weeks, he said calmly. Angel. Then it will be a long trip. Bremery residence. We can see a brown-haired boy sitting on the living room sofa looking at the ceiling of the place with a nostalgic, but at the same time peaceful look, but this moment was interrupted by his sister. Asara. Nai-sama, are you okay, she curiously said. Issei. I was just thinking, he said calmly. Asara. In what, she said curiously. Issei. Everything that happened since the day I was separated from you, the experiments, adapting to what I am, seeing you again, the encounter with the supernatural, the search to unite the cages, the battle to save the world, that's what I think about, he said calmly. Asara. It's a lot, she said amused. Issei. Yes, but after recapitulating everything I was able to reach a single conclusion, he said calmly. Asara. Which one, she said curiously. Issei. That I am happy. Soon. Rias. Issei, the redeed shouted as she entered a very upset room. Issei. Hey sweetie, calm down, what's wrong? He said, confused, seeing the redeed so upset. Rias. Gustav is destroying the city of Vina Del Mar, she shouted upset, worrying the brown-haired boy. Issei what? Pornunal. I need fighters in the Pacific Ocean as soon as possible, he was serious. Sona. I won't let him hurt him, she screamed alarmed next to the black-haired man's harem. Colonel. Understand Arasitri, I will not put lives at risk for a whim of yours. Issei. It was necessary to chain him, he said seriously. Colonel. They are just protective measures, he said seriously looking at the chained and unconscious gorilla. Sona. Because she hasn't returned to her human form, she said worriedly, while Rias hugged her. Issei. And where are they taking him? He said seriously. Colonel. To your old home, the Issei couldn't continue because the gorilla reacted by starting to shake the aircraft carrier where they were transporting him, causing a few to fall, including Issei. Colonel. Incapacitation team, move, he said seriously, while several soldiers ran. Sona Gustav, please react, she screamed in pain. Rias Iseei, where are you, she shouted to the ocean while watching Kong approach the edge looking at the ocean. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.